Islam, everyone, and welcome to the United States of America Republic Monday Night Law Task Force. Tonight is, it's the wrong screen that's up here. We are the task force, so it's not a government meeting just yet. I was working on that slide. In terms of the date, we are at the 21st day of August, 2017, so let me change that. And what we've kind of scheduled for our Mondays now is more of a testimonial nature. So if we could bring our nationals who have certain experiences that they've had and can share them with us in terms of the everyday acting as a Moorish American national in our jurisdiction, and then sharing those encounters, we could each learn from all of the testimonials that are given. We're calling them testimonials because each one of them, as we know, is going to grow into something that's going to be beneficial to us, even though it may sound at the moment as though it's kind of an incomplete process or action. So what I wanted to do before we got into the testimonials is to see if there was anyone who had any questions or comments that they wanted to bring to the floor first. Okay. And we can, any kind of questions or comments they wanted to bring to the floor first? Okay, well, and we can do this at the end of our call too. But if I can ask Brother Christopher Hill
Islam,
and if there's a possibility that we can have you and Sister Tara give us an understanding of what your encounter was about this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. Islam, family. Yeah, this is Christopher Hill, baby. And I'm the assistant governor down here in Georgia Province. And Tara, she actually, she'll be here in a little bit. But anyway, but yeah, so, you know, I'm down here in Georgia, you know, so, you know, what's going on down here now is, like, for anybody that's, you know, a national youth or, you know, like, right now, like, these law enforcement, you know, officers, you know, the people in the court, you know, like, they got a lot of Clayton County police out here where I'm at. But, like, now it's to the point to where, like, they recognizing who we are. Like, they been seeing youth or, like, a lot. They been even talking to, you know, each other, like, word getting out. You know what I mean? Because, like, with me personally, like, they actually, like, know me and my white person. Like, it's a few of them. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm going down this road, you know what I mean? You know, we going at them with the paperwork and everything, you know, everything that's going on right now, you know, with the case that I got going on in court. But anyway, I'm gonna tell y'all what happened. Anybody got any questions, you know, anything like that, you know, I don't mind y'all asking questions or whatnot either. But anyway, I had got pulled over the other day, and right now, you know, I was telling y'all the other day about the case I got going on in court, you know what I mean, for getting pulled over for this very same thing. So, Friday, you know, I was riding down on Highway 75, and a state trooper had pulled me over, you know what I mean? So when the state trooper pulled me over, I had called my wife right on the phone, so she hit President up, you know what I mean, while I was there. So the officer came up to the door and everything. And he said, he started talking about my registration on my vehicle. So my registration now here suspended. You know what I mean? I ain't renewed it since last year, and I want to say August, something like that. But anyway, so when the officer came up, he was like, you know, your registration suspended on this vehicle. He said, hold on, y'all. All right. But, yeah, he was like, you know, the reason I stopped you because your registration came back suspended. So when he said it, he was like, he was like, can I ask you, what he said, why you don't have, why your registration been suspended for so long or something like that, right? So, when he said it, I just kind of stopped him, and I was like, well, hold on. I said, first, I ain't trying to be rude, but I said, I just want to, let you know who I am, kind of let you know what's going on. And he was like, okay. And he looked at me. So I was like, I told him, I let him know who I was right then and there. I said, I am Christopher Hill Bay, a Moorish American national and citizen of the United States of America Republic Government. So he looked at me. You know what I mean? I said, I've already sent out paperwork to, get my tag and my registration and everything from my government. So he was like, he asked me, did I have anything with me? So, excuse me right quick, y'all. How you doing? Come here. Hold on. Y'all excuse me right quick. I'm on the phone, okay?
Okay, I'm pretty sure.
It's long, family. Y'all.
There you go. Okay, I yield.
Bad. Okay. I just want to know if everybody's still there. But okay. So, after I told him who I was and everything, I told him, I had told him about the case that I got, right? When he was talking about, the registration and all that. I said, I was telling him I got an open case right now. I said, dealing with this very same thing. I said, I don't know if you can write another ticket on top of that or not. I was like, but I just want to let you know, who I am, Therefore, you already know what's going on. So I told him, I was challenging jurisdiction and everything too in the case. So I was like, until, we figure out if you even got jurisdiction, even you write me any kind of ticket, anything like that, which you don't. I say, I'll just let you know, before you even write the ticket. So I said that to him, and he was like, and I was like, well, and I'm going to give you my ID, let you know who I am. So I gave him my ID, my driver's license. So he grabbed it, he looking at me crazy because of what I said, but I'm kind of moving on the fast, I'm talking to him. So I give it to him, and he looked at it, and he was like, well, don't you got a Georgia driver's license? And I was like, I said, no, I don't have no other driver's license on me but this right here. I said, this is the only identification I got on me right here, and this is all I carry. So he was like, okay. So he was like, hold on. So he got that, and he went back to the car, right? So when he back there for a minute, another trooper had done pulled up, on top of that. So once he finally ended up coming back to the car, and he was like, well, he said, I'm gonna have to tow your vehicle. He was like, because, your registration being suspended for so long, he was like, I can't allow you to drive this car out here on the street no more. Now, mind you, too, President had told me, about, having a tag on y'all vehicles, too. So they go, like, for anybody, you trying to get your tag, anything like that, just in case you did get pulled over, they can still tow your car, if you got their tags on there or whatnot, you ain't got, no proof and nothing like that. So that's something else, that we getting straightened out too, because I got all my paperwork now as far as, proof of registration and all that, to where they'll see that I done filed it already with you, so. But anyway, so, he was telling me he was going to tow the car and everything, so the tow truck had done pulled up around by this time, so he was like, we're going to have to, he was like, well, we're going to have to tow your car. He was like, so you're going to have to step out the vehicle. So I was like, me knowing too, because I had the tag still on my car at this time right here, and that was a big no-no, but I know better, I knew better. I really was supposed to take it out, but anyway, just the experience, man, so we would know, like, you got their tag on there. They, they're gonna try to do their best, man, and really try to wrap you up and try to, hit you with stuff. But anyway, back to, I get on that, but back to, I got out the car, right? So he hands me the tickets and everything like that once I got out. And so I grabbed the tickets for him, and I signed both of the tickets without recourse. So bam, he handed me a pen. I gave him back a pen. So he looked down at him, and he looked at me, and he said, hold on. He said, you're gonna have to sign your name on these tickets. And I looked at him and I said, no, I ain't got to do that. So President on the phone, right? So President heard him say that. So he was like, hold on. He said, tell him to show you what, in law would say. You gotta do what he telling you to do. So I said, show me in law, what say I got to sign my signature. Cause I said, I signed right here without recourse. I said, you telling me I can't sign like that. I said, I don't sign. I said, that's how I'm signing these tickets right here, because you ain't even got my, title or nothing on the ticket, because he went by my Georgia driver license, you know what I mean, because that's what he had anyway. So I showed him my Constitution, right, and he was like, this dude told me, this was the state trooper, now this dude told me that he had already read through our Constitution and everything. So he had pulled somebody over the other day that had a use of, that had one of them tags on their car. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at him like, whoa. And so I asked him, how did he handle the situation? He was like, I did the same thing. He said, I wrote him a ticket for no registration, blah, that's going. I'm thinking to myself, wow. I don't know who that was, but if they had registration, what it sounded like to me, they had a tag, and he still, wrote them a ticket. You know what I mean? So I would kind of like to know who that was, but I don't at this point. But anyway, when, so he said one more time about signing the paper to me right after he said that. And he was like, well, he said, if you don't sign it, he said, I'm gonna have to lock you up. So the president heard him on the phone, because mind y'all, I got him on the phone. Matter of fact, president then start making calls like immediately, like trying to get, dispatch to the patrol car, and like that's something that had blew my mind. You know what I mean? So I'm like, dude, I'm feeling like Incredible Hulk. You know what I mean? With these people like my government behind me, like I'm going 100. But anyway, after the dude was telling me, if I don't sign it, my signature or whatnot, I had to, sign it another kind of way without recourse. He was gonna lock me up. So I said, oh, you gonna threaten, now you gonna threaten to lock me up if I don't sign it? You know what I mean? How you telling me to sign it? He was like, nah, I ain't threatening. He said, that's a problem. I said, word. I said, hold on. I said, well, I ain't trying to be funny, but I said, that right there, that's legal, so that's legit. I said, you can't tell me it ain't. He said, well, either you gonna sign, your name on here, I'm gonna lock you up. I said, okay. I said, well, I'm gonna tell you like this, because I already knew I wasn't gonna sign no other kind of way. So I just told him, you just gonna have to do what you're gonna do. You know what I mean? So the other state trooper, that had pulled up, he had done walked up at this time. You know what I mean? So of course y'all know I ain't trying to get roughed up. So so when they grabbed me, they were like, look, they had done grabbed me like, put your arm behind your back and everything. So I put the cuffs on, hot in the cuff. And I looked up and got the number off the top of the score that was in front of me, right? So I had President them on the phone, because dude he had gave me my phone back, before they put me in the car. And then they ended up finding my driver's license in my wallet. It was like in another pocket, you know what I mean? Now, mind y'all now, I learned this also, you know what I mean? When you carrying your use or driver's license on your identification, you don't carry no other state driver's license or nothing like that on your person. You know what I mean? Don't let them catch that on you, period. You know what I mean? Now, there was another, place right there where I erred. I probably made sure wasn't no other identification like that in there. But anyway, they ended up finding that, so they pointed that out. They don't come show it to me and everything. So, I really couldn't say that, because I ain't even know it was in there. So, I ain't really respond. But they were like, oh, we found it on your other driver's license. I was like, okay. So I just sat back and said that. But anyway, we went on, we had got down to the jail, right? And they went to, booking me in and everything. So I got to the desk and intake. We not in intake now. So they, they asked me my name and everything. They're like Christopher Hill. So I get up to the little desk and I tell the lady, I was like, Yeah, I said, well, I'm Christopher Hill Bay. And she would ask me, okay, so she would ask me to put my finger down. So now they were trying to get me the fingerprint, right? It's just like routine, man. It went by, it just going by, smooth. Like, if you ain't that type of person thinking about it, you ain't going to catch it. But anyway, I ain't put my finger on the fingerprint thing because I had recalled President saying to me earlier, they can't fingerprint you. You know what I mean? They can't make you sign that, none of that. You know what I mean? So when I got down there, I said, hold on. I said, I don't consent to no fingerprint. I said, and I'm not signing anything right now. You know what I mean? So she was like, what you mean you ain't signing it right now and you want fingerprint? She was like, this ain't no fingerprint. She said, it's just a scan that's going to show us who you is. It ain't a fingerprint. So I'm looking at her like, she's stupid, really, because it was a fingerprint. But anyway, I said, okay. I said, well, I'm not going to sign anything or fingerprint until y'all get, documentation from my government and y'all get in contact with them, and then, we'll go from there. So she was like, huh? She was like, well, if you ain't going to do your fingerprint, she said, you just going to go, go in the cell and you just going to sit there. So, I don't know what's going on, but anyway, they ain't no telling me, okay, go to the cell. So, they end up putting me in the cell by myself. You know what I mean? I'm in there. And man, like the cells in this place, like, me going, I done been locked up, I want to say probably like 5 times in my whole life. So, I'm a little used to, just being in that scenario. You know what I mean? I ain't saying I'm used to it like that, but, I'm just saying for people who ain't been locked up, I done been there before. I know how the deal is. You go through intake, that book you in, fingerprint, you sign some stuff, some waivers and all that. You get your phone call, you sit in the cell, you know what I mean, all that kind of stuff. But, in the midst, you know what I mean, I'm causing corruption down here because I ain't fingerprinting, right? So these folks done held me down here, man, for like a whole, like, day and a half, but, I want to say about 8 hours into it, they had came back to me again right before shift change. And this dude was like, was I going to fingerprint? And I said, nah. And he was like, well, I just want to let your man, if you don't fingerprint, he was like, you ain't going to get out of here. He said, the little charge you got, he said, if you fingerprint, they going to go on and book you in, and you'll be able to they'll let you right out of here. But he said, if you don't fingerprint, it don't matter, if you ain't going to get no bond in there. He said, you ain't even going to get out because they got to be able to fingerprint you to even book you in. You know what I mean? So I just looked at him like, I said, oh, Stud. I said, listen, I said, no disrespect to you. You know what I mean? I ain't trying to be funny because I said I seen a young lady, she kind of tooted her nose up and she kind of got an attitude. Like, I don't want no, what the hell, no, beefing. I said, I ain't got no problem with y'all. I said, it's just that, I said, I'm a citizen of Utah. I said, so I said, I got my own laws and I got rights and my own constitution. I said, so, the way y'all doing y'all paperwork, I said, I'm not agreeing with none of that. You know what I mean? I said, that's just all. So that's the reason that, I'm not fingerprinting all that. I said, but my government will be contacting y'all, you know what I mean, soon. I said, I just want to let you know one no issue. So he was like, okay, cool. He was like, well, I want to let you know we're going to change shift. He said, man, you might be in here for, this amount of hours, before they come to you again. He said, I'm going to tell them your preferences or your views, about, you don't want the fingerprint and this and that. He said, so they might come to you, in this amount of hours. So I ended up sitting again, in a little cell for about, I want to say 4 hours, man, and the more I sat down there, I started getting a feeling, man, because, even when I made the decision at the patrol car, to let them put on, go on and do what they were going to do because I wasn't going to sign no kind of way, I really had got to a point to where, I've been feeling like what everybody been saying about the government, telling the president, it's going to take us to start getting into these situations, for them to start recognizing who we are, you know what I mean, and it's done got to the point to where a lot of these police know who we are now. You know what I mean? Just because of the case that we're going through. You know what I mean? But some of that's going on in other states as well. But anyway, but I'm going to get back to it, right? So I'm in intake, you know what I mean, for like 4 more hours, y'all. So another policeman had come to me down there. I forget his name. They done switch shifts and everything. So this dude come to me. They done told him about me, you know what I mean? And I'm expecting this when he came to the cell where I was. He stepped in. He kind of stepped in. He was the first officer that came in the cell like that right there. So he stepped in and he was like, hey, he was like, man, he was like, what's going on? So, I looked at him. He was like, he was like, they was, you saying you ain't gonna fingerprint, and do this, and that. He was like, the whole thing, they trying to get you booked in. He kind of gave me the rundown of what they were saying. But then he also said, he said, he would ask me, did I work for a company, right? And I was like, yeah. So he was like, it's a corporation. You know what I mean? So when I heard him say corporation, I'm looking at these little detention officers. I'm like, okay, he kind of, like, I'm trying to see where he going with it. So he was like, you use your Social Security number and all that, right? And I was like, yeah. Well, when I signed up, when I got the job, I said, yeah, I did all that. Same way you did your, your application when you became a police officer. So he was like, word. So he said, you still using the information, but he was like, I heard you saying you're a citizen, of a different state. Like, but what I'm thinking he was getting at, I don't know, maybe he thinking I was doing some cyber citizen stuff like that. You know what I mean? I don't think he had a clear understanding, you know what I mean, about you. So, but the way that he was talking. So he, just so y'all know, like, it's some brothers, man, that's down there. Like, some of them, which I never knew, but from talking to this brother right here, he was like, he said, man, I kind of went the same route that you go on. He was like, he was like, I've been there. He was a little older than me. He said, so I see where you're going. But he was like, man, he was like, the way they operate, he said, man, you still, using these documents, man, that belong to them. But he was like, you trying to, say you ain't a part of their government. He was like, man, you can't do it like that. Then he popped out and said, you don't file your UCC, you know what I mean? And I was like, no. So he started and was like, so you ain't started no expatriation process, none of that. And I'm looking at him like, I said, oh, it's in process. But he was like, he said basically, he was like, it's a lot of other, he was like, man, it's a lot of stuff you need to be doing, before you can be jumping out here, you know what I mean, like what you doing, you know what I mean? So, and he was like, I'm gonna drop some on you. He said, anyway you post, and there was some, when he said this right here, this tripped me out. Cause like this for all our nationals, man, if you're a national, like you really supposed to be getting like special treatment when you going into these people's places. Like they really supposed to recognize who we are off the rip. Like I was talking to president and I said, man, the same way I done heard about rappers down here in Georgia going to prison, when they do that, they'll clear the whole side of the room and let that one person, have a whole room to himself. He can sit there with his cell phone while everybody else still over here using, a counting phone that's on the wall. You know what I mean? But the dude said to me, he was like, man, anywhere you go in this jail, he said they supposed to, escort you. And he was like, you ain't even know that. And I was like, word. And he was like, that's what I'm about to go and do when I take you over here to do this fingerprint thing, right? So he thinking I'm a fingerprint and stuff like that. But he say, man, listen. He said, they got the little information on you, but they do need the fingerprints. But he said, man, he was like, man, he said, I see what you're doing, man. He was like, I tried to go through the process. He was like, man, but it cost me all this type of money, you know what I mean, and this and that. And he was like, plus I got kids. He was like, so I really didn't have the time. But he was saying, and he said, I'm trying to think what he said, man. I don't want to forget. But anyway, he went to the point about talking about the doing the fingerprint thing. And he said, man, when I came in here, he said, man, you ain't supposed to say nothing to me, period. He said, you shouldn't have told me nothing. He was like, man, once we get our paperwork, he said, we look at everything you got, we don't got some documentation, anything like that. Like, we already know who you is. And then, matter of fact, I left out the part where he was asking me, did I live here? He kind of just out of nowhere was asking me, did I live here, when he was talking about driver's license and all that. And I was like, live? He was like, yeah, you live here, right? This Clayton County. I was like, yeah. He said, what about, like, city? Like, you stay over here close to the jail. So, like, in Mara, he was like, okay. So he was like, in Mara, he was like, he called some in tomorrow out and zip code, right? So I'm finna go, I was about to tell him the zip code. Now, mind, this was early when we were talking. I was about to tell him the zip code, and he was like, hold on. He was like, see, right then, you messed up. He was like, right then, you talking about, you stay in Clayton County and da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? So he was like, man, the other thing about it, he said, one reason why you don't talk to these folks because, they try to trick you when they talk to you. You know what I mean? And I was talking to the president about it. Like, they be talking real slick, man, but it just turns out that this dude right here, he was really cool, man. Like, he really, got on the level with me, like, on the brotherhood. You feel me? So, and he dropped some jewels on me, too, man. Some things, like, even just, some of the things he was saying I've heard, from some of y'all as well. You know what I mean? But it just let me know what kind of brothers down there in that jail, man. Like, you really never know. Some of them some real trash bags, like, excuse my language, but it's some guys that's really down there, and they really looking out, man. So it's like a place for animals, from my look on it from where I was. But anyway, right? So, I ended up telling him, too, about the fingerprints. I said, okay. So I let him actually open the door, man, because it was so cold in them cells, y'all. The dude was like, man, we're going to go do the fingerprint. He was like, we're going to come out this cell. Man, I was like, I looked at him. I said, all right. So he was like, it was so cold in there, man. I had been in them cells, y'all. I'm talking about the little thing I sat on that was like iron, like an ironing board, for real. And so I was in them things for hours, man. So you can just imagine, like how you trying to, like what I did. A lot of the time I was in there, I kind of, did some breathing exercises, you know what I mean, and meditated a lot, you know what I mean. And then everything that was happening, all this running through my mind at the same time, you know what I mean. And, so when I ended up walking out the cell with him, I really just want to get out that cold cell because I tried so hard to not put my arms in my sleeve because I be feeling like I be looking like a baby because that's something I do when I be at the house and I be cold, right? But I was in the cell for so long, man, I ended up putting my arms in my sleeve, but I kind of went in the corner, y'all, so they couldn't see me because I'm a national, right? But I'm cold in the mud, so I let him walk me out all the way over there to do the fingerprint, and he walked off. So when he walked off, I walked back to the cell, and I just stood right there by the door, you know what I mean? And another lady came by that was doing the fingerprint. She seen me, and, she was trying to tell me, come on and do the fingerprint or whatnot. So I went over there and I told her, this was a different shift and everything. So I ended up telling her, I wasn't going to do the fingerprint and everything. I said I had done told them, before, I won't do the fingerprint. So she was like, well, if you don't do the fingerprint, she kind of caught an attitude too. She was like, I'm going to send you back over there in that room, and, you're going to be on lockdown, da-da-da-da. I was like, dang, I said, you going to threaten me like that? I said, no disrespect to you. I said, I'm not trying to be funny. You know what I mean? I said, I let them know what the deal was. I said, I don't mean no disrespect. And she was like, she looked at the other officer. She was like, all right, you can take him back, to the room or whatnot. So they took me back to the cell again, you know what I mean? And another lady had came by probably 20 minutes. She was probably in her 30s, something like that. I don't know. But anyway, she came by and was like, what you doing over here? She said, you a weekender. I was like, a weekend? I said, no. So she ended up letting me out the cell to go use the phone. For matter of fact, she stood up, I was like, I need to use the phone. So she was like, okay, you didn't use the phone yet? I said, no. She asked me how long I've been there. I had been there for like, at that time, probably about 16, 17 hours. I hadn't been there for a minute at that point. So she ended up letting me to go out to use the phone. And I had called, I called up my wife again on the phone. She hit up President Shannon Bay. So I was telling them how they were down there, threatening me with the fingerprints and all that. And, like, they had done already, going through the process, they had done already started sending the paperwork out. Like, I really believe that, the jail had got the paperwork, kind of early, but they didn't really know say anything to me about it, until far way on down the line. But anyway, I was talking to the president about that and everything. So, we end up, they end up moving me again from there, right? I'm trying to think what happened in between because I don't want to, like, leave nothing out. But, like, the experience, man, of being down there, y'all, like, it was amazing, man. But, just knowing that the other thing I want to leave, for anybody that ain't, I know a lot of haven't. Islam, yeah. Somebody got a lot of background noise. But Islam, y'all. But yeah, the one thing I did want to, one of the things, when I was on the phone with President, he was saying, he was basically telling me, like from how they pulled me over, and locked me up and all this. Then come to find out on my ticket, the dude was telling me he was gonna lock me up because I didn't sign the ticket. So that was the whole reason I'm thinking I got locked up because I ain't signed the ticket. Not for no suspended registration or that. So come to find out, we had told President, that was the charge. They ain't putting that on there. All they had was suspended registration. You know what I mean? And something else like that. And so, basically I was like, well, they ain't have a right to lock me up. You know what I mean? For not having, a registration. I can tell them, yeah. But they locked me up, and they had me thinking they were locking me up for something else. So he was like, okay, basically, we gon' text. I don't want to say that crazy, but anyway, he said, we gonna text them on that because, they in violation. You know what I mean? And then, like, the paperwork that they sending to the, to the jail, man, like, it really, going through this situation, it really just showed me how, like, youth are really got our back, man. Like, when I say one for all for one, like, I'm telling everybody I'm running into, I'm talking about for real, like, I'm a Moorish American national. And I'm talking about, I'm screaming youth to everybody. I'm talking about all throughout this little jail correctional facility, man. I'm telling all these folks, youth. So, it had got to a point in there where every single officer that I had seen on that floor, I already knew, what it was. But, they ain't really looking crazy. I talked to them over, and they was like really, listening to what I had to say. You know what I mean? Like, it was
Chris.
He was probably like,
hey, Chris, your phone breaking up, Chris.
Every time I talk to you folks, I'm cool with them, ain't got loud, ain't curse nobody, ain't been like that. You know what I mean?
Chris, your phone breaking up real bad, Chris.
Right after I had that bill.
Yeah, that's better. That's going out again. Chris, you going in and out. Hey, Chris, going in and out,
Going in and out.
You can't hear us, can he? He's still talking.
But anyway, so they end up dressing me out and everything, and they had to get us upstairs, right? Because I had said I never so long. They had to get blood and everything. When she told me that I was good man.
Y'all had the rest off on me to be.
My wife, they was just, both being there, they got I'm like, okay, word.
Islam, this is Sister Ajua. Say, I can't hear him at all. He's like way in the background somewhere.
You know what I think?
Can somebody call him on the other line?
Somebody should text him.
Can somebody call him from another phone?
At this point, I feel like,
Let me do this. I'm going to go ahead and try calling and letting him know because he's still talking. But I'm going to do this first. I'm going to drop his call and see if he can call back in to make it simple. I hate to do that, but we missed so much of his story. We couldn't hear. So we'll give him a moment to call back in. Islam? Someone said hello? All right, that's okay.
Point of interest.
Yes, Bobby Green, you?
I'm pretty sure that the police officer, because it sounded like what the brother went through was nothing but threat, duress, and coercion. And I'm pretty sure the cop has the recording. I'm hoping all that stuff that cop said to him is recorded. I'm pretty sure there should be some film, some video of when he was in jail. But these people, I mean, they're just pretty much threatening him, and he's claiming he's declaring that he's a national. All I can see is like just damages. You know, that's all I can see. I yield the floor. So it's another quick point, because he declared his nationality. He's flesh and blood, and these people are treating him like he's one of these like he's a citizen. He's a national, so he's flesh and blood, and pretty much when all this comes around, they're going to find out that they're way in the wrong. I just wanted to say that. To your floor.
Peace and love, family. I don't know what happened. I ended up getting disconnected on that.
Who is that?
Y'all. Here, wait.
Can you repeat what you asked? I did not hear it.
Yeah, I was trying to see if y'all can hear me. That's all.
Oh, yeah, there you go. You could not hear us. And so what I did was I actually dropped the call so that you could call back because I couldn't make the phone call. So it was a long time. There was a lot of information that we missed.
Point of interest. Sounds like the last 10 minutes.
Point of interest?
Yes, I was wondering if he can pick back up where he was at the fingerprint machine with the third and final lady when she caught the attitude and looked at the other officer and told him that's kind of like where we couldn't hear him no more or whatever.
Okay.
Well, point of interest before you continue, if I may.
Okay. It's long.
Yeah. Just a quick question. I'm hoping. Are you going to ask for like the like all that video, that police video, the audio of the police encounter, and then get the jail video? Because you know they got cameras in there. I would request all that to demonstrate pretty much TDC. That all the coercion, they had you in a cold room. That's torture. That is straight up torture. You know, so I'll be asking for the film. I want recordings of everything because it's to show and prove. I yield the floor.
Yeah, that's personal injury, man. I'm talking about. Yeah, it was a back-breaking experience, hey, but I held my ground, man. You know what I mean? Like, see, I'm willing to go through it though. You know what I mean? Because this right here really gonna set, you know, some ground, and it's gonna give us some ground. At least I know, you know, with you, so on the whole. And even in the state, you know, of Georgia where I am, for them to just recognize who we are. And then once, you know, we go ahead and knock their head off with all this court stuff right here, for the ones that know me personally and my wife, they ain't even gonna mess with us at all. They ain't gonna mess with us. Because now they know for them other officers that done got their head, you know, kicked off their shoulder, right? They ain't going to end up like that. Because really what they did, they broke the law to the point where they can lose their job. Matter of fact, and this in their oath. They take an oath to the state trooper. And I looked up on that, you know what I mean? So they supposed to hold the state law too, and the state uphold the law of the government. You know what I mean? Everybody in submission to the United States Constitution. You know what I mean? So when I'm telling him who I am, and I'm giving him, you know, proof, because I had a chart and everything, I'm showing him my Constitution. But he still went on here, you know, and did everything he did. Then they done locked me up too. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's a lot of other evidence, you know, that you know, we can throw in there, of course, like you saying, the videos and all that. But I'm talking about clearly, like, they done, like, messed up on so many different levels already. Like, it's crazy. You know what I mean? But, yeah, man, just to kind of talk to y'all a little bit about, you know, when I was in there, I had bumped into another little group of officers, right? When I had went all the way upstairs, they ended up calling me. I had, you know, I mean, I done laid down on the bunk and everything, y'all. I'm talking about, yeah, I done had a mat. I done got the cot and everything. I'm up there, like, I'm in there. So, you know, they called me all the way out, like, pack it up. So I come out there, you know, I bring the bed and everything. Got that me to grab that, put that down on the side. So I ended up going out of there. the lady that was in the dormitory actually, like, she gave me directions, like, how to walk through this place, right? So I said, well, you ain't going to, show me where to go. I said, I ain't really trying to just walk in here. I said, I'm already locked up. I said, I can't be lost in here. Like, so she was like, well, I can't take you up there. I said, okay. So I asked her, to tell me one more time how to get out there. So I said, I asked her, was somebody out there waiting? She said she thinks so. So anyway, I walked out the door, and basically I just had to make a right, go to the end of the hallway and make a left. So I walked up here, Once I go to the left, I walked through the hallway. There was an officer sitting at the desk. So it's like he was waiting on me. So he was like, Hill. I said, Christopher Hill. He was like, yeah. I said, Bay. He was like, yeah. He was like, okay, Hill Bay. I was like, yeah. Okay. He was like, come on, let's go on down here. So I asked him where we going. We walking down the hallway. So I said, we going back into the same place, the intake, where they fingerprinting and all that. So we get in there, and he's like, all right, we go ahead and do the fingerprint. He was like, and you can sign your own bond, and you'll be out of here. Now, mind y'all, they gave me the bond the first time. I ain't tell y'all how much it was. It was $3,500. Matter of fact, $3,550. Now, this was, the bond that I had on the suspended registration and all that, right? And then they had one, matter of fact, they had one on property, and they had a cash bond. They had one that was $1,550. So it went from that, right, to when they got me back down this time, he was saying I can sign my bond. He said they just need me to fingerprint, so they'll, get the information, all that, and I'll be out there. So I'm like, I told him, nah. I said, man, I already told y'all what the deal is. And the officer, he was, I'm going to go ahead and say Caucasian, because he was real light-skinned. I ain't trying to be president like that. But anyway, he said, man, you ain't going to get out of here, you know what I mean, no time soon if you don't do the fingerprint. He said, man, you'll end up being in here a whole nother day. He said, they might come to you again and ask you, do you want a fingerprint? He said, but eventually, he said, they're going to force you to do a fingerprint. You know what I mean? And I'm like, huh? I looked at him crazy, and I'm like, forcing me to do a fingerprint? He's like, yeah, they're going to actually make you do a fingerprint. He said, because we got to fingerprint you before we let you go, we can't just let you go. So I looked at him, and the lady was like, so she like, come on. She thinking, all right, he convinced. Come on, we ready to do it. I said, no. I said, y'all can take me back upstairs. He was like, well, there where you going to have to go. He said, you want to go all the way back upstairs? I was like, yeah. I said, if that's, what I got to do, I said, because what I'm not going to do. I said, I'm not going to, do this fingerprint, and I'm not signing no paper. I said, it's just that, man. So he said, okay. He said, all right. So he like, well, come on. So, in my mind at this time, like I say, I'm not worried about getting out. I'm not worried about signing no signature bond and nothing like that. Because what I'm really wanting is for our paperwork to get to the jail and for them folks to say, you know what I mean, you free to go. This is how I really wanted to go, you know what I mean? So I ain't swindling no time, but I ain't trying to sign and I ain't trying to fingerprint that. You know what I mean? So I'm like, man, yeah, I'm used to all the way. Like, I'm ready to make an impression on these folks. So, they take me all the way back up to my cell and everything. So I end up being able to get on the phone. As soon as I got up there, they let me back out in the dormitory. I ended up getting on the phone, everybody was eating and whatnot. So I called up, my wife again. She called up Candy Bay and Kelowna. So I was just telling Candy Bay how they had. I was telling all on that fact how they had sent me back down and they were trying to fingerprint me. And I said basically they were telling me that if I don't fingerprint, eventually they gonna send the boys at me and they gonna force me to fingerprint. So I would tell the person, I said, I ain't no fool. I ain't trying to get beat up and then like that. So he was like, hold on, y'all. Can y'all still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Right.
So you get back to us, let everyone know that he got picked up at 3, and now we're talking about somewhere around 12 o'clock midnight where they did receive the paperwork because they finally booked him at 8:14. And so once we got that information, we had to set up, stop to actually be able to fax that information over and email it over to 3 different places, which the main place he was being held at, the sheriff, was the place that we did get it to. And it made it there twice. So
I'm not sure what time of day you're on, Chris, but just so everyone knows, what midnight
My bad.
that day.
My bad. Hey, see, and over the course of this whole time, I did leave out that very important part. I actually got to the jail. You know, I got pulled over at like 3 something. I got to the jail at 4, right? I stayed down there until Sunday morning. I walked out, you know, Sunday morning. So at this point right now, it's already Sunday. You know what I mean? When they took me down to fingerprint the first, you know, that when the Caucasian dude had me down there, the fingerprint, it's Sunday at this time. You know what I mean? Like all that whole, you know, time I sat down in intake, like I say, for like a day and a half before they even put me in the jumpsuit and took me upstairs. And when I went upstairs, you know what I mean, I stayed up there from like Saturday night, like I say, till Sunday morning. You know, and that's when they came and got me, made me put my you know, my bed and everything up, time I do the fingerprint. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. So it was, you know, it was a little ride in there, but like I say, you know, go ahead. You had a question?
Yeah, once I try to get in this net life.
Can someone mute their phone? Is that another person? You can mute, please, to respect our speaker. And okay, so Chris, you have the floor.
Islam, okay. Let me rewind back a little bit, right? You know, I was refusing to do the fingerprint and everything, and they were saying, okay, well, we're gonna send you back to your cell, right? Now, when the Caucasian dude, you know, when the European walked me back out, you know, in the hallway to get ready to take me to my cell, it was like 4 police officers that had walked up, and a lady that was actually in there that was, you know, told him he can go and take me back if I want on fingerprint. You know, she came out there, so it was like 6 of them, right? So it was a real big one. You know, everybody out here, you know, some brothers and sisters melanated, but this one, you know, Caucasian dude, you know, the one that was actually escorting me back. So he was like, so you're a sovereign citizen, you know, when we got outside the door. He was like, so you're a sovereign citizen? I said, no. I said, nah. I said, I'm not a sovereign citizen. I said, to be honest, I said, it's impossible for you to be a sovereign citizen. I said, for you and me, I said, because I said, you're a citizen of the, I said, I'm a citizen just like you. I said, now, my nation state, my government is sovereign. I said, but I'm a citizen. You know what I mean? I said, so they make me sovereign. I said, just like you're a citizen of the United States. I said, no, the state got sovereignty. I said, but you got to, you know, follow all the rules and laws of the United States. I said, so, you know, we talking about sovereignty now. I said, I know you, when you say sovereign, you call God sovereign, right? He said, yeah, you know, yeah, God is all sovereign. I said, right. So that means when nobody else to answer to, right? He said, right. I said, okay. I said, so, I said, I got to abide by the laws of my government. You know what I mean? So I said, this, you know, this is why, you know, we even going through the motions. I said, ain't no disrespect. So he say, so it was another dude, real big dude standing up there, right? He listening too. So the European guy say, he said, but I look, he said, but we, he said, now we got the paperwork y'all sent. He said, now on there it say something about a sovereign nation and da. I said, right. I said, now, I said, my nation state is sovereign. I said, we are a sovereign state. I said, but I'm not a sovereign individual like what you saying, a sovereign citizen. I said, no, that's not me. I said, I'm Christopher Hill Bay. I said, that's my name. I said, I ain't trying to be disrespectful, but I said, I'm a national and a citizen of the United States of America Republic. I said, that's a government. I said, so, I said, anything else outside that, you ain't heard me say sovereign citizen. I said, about that, I'd have told you that. So it was a big guy right here, right? He was like, so you ain't know, he was like, so you ain't a sovereign citizen? I was like, nah. He was like, okay. He was like, I heard a sovereign citizen. He was like, but I'm listening. He was like, I'm really trying to learn. He was like, you know, so I'm looking at him like, okay, cool, word. I said, it don't matter to me, man. I said, he was like, well, where you get the Bay from? I said, see, the Bay is a title. See, you don't get all, you know, mixed up in all these different tribes and all that. I said, brother, we're a family. I said, this right here was our names, our foremothers and forefathers, you know what I mean, in the ancient days. I said, so this right here, how we recognize by the people. I said, this is the name that we got. His long. So he was like, word. So the little European dude, right? He's over here. He kind of getting hot. So he like, well, come on. He like, I'm going to take you down here. Like, he didn't even want to really hear nothing I had to say. He was kind of fed up that I want fingerprint. I don't know what he had to do. You know what I mean? But he probably, but anyway, you know, so he ended up like, you know, we going to go ahead and walk down here. So, you know, he just kind of walked me off of everybody, you know what I mean, and took me on back to the cell, you know, word. And now this when I was calling president and, you know, my wife and everybody, you know, telling them about the fingerprint, you know what I mean, and how they were talking about threatening me and all this. So president said, you know, right then he was like, I got some for him. So he actually sent the so he actually he was saying he was gonna print up, you know, this document about the fingerprint. Man, I had that paper because I had been reading. But anyway, check it. He you know, he ended up writing the papers up and everything like that. And so he was like, well, you know, he was basically like, you know, we didn't want to, you know, be acting crazy and then like that. He was like, you know, they come there trying to make you fingerprint. He was like, you know, just go ahead and fingerprint. And he was like, the thing is, you know, they got to make sure you ain't got no holes, you know, probation holes like that and then like that in other counties. You know what I mean? So that's the whole reason they're trying to do that. So he was like, you know, just go ahead and do it. So I went back to the, you know, the door right then, and the officer that was up here, you know, in the, you know, in the little area, you know, he was out there in the middle of the dorms and stuff. So I hit the buzzer. He come on. So now I told this dude, I said, okay. I said, I had just came back down here, you know, earlier. And he was like, yeah. I said, well, can you tell, you know, the officers or whoever downstairs doing the fingerprinting, you know, that you know, they can come back on up and get me. I'm ready to go ahead and down here and do the fingerprint. So he was like, okay. He was like, well, hold on. So, you know, he ended up calling down and everything. And he called me back about less than a minute later now. And he was like, Christopher Hill, on the thing he was telling me to come in. So I said, excuse me. He said, you Christopher Hill? I said, I'm Christopher Hill, babe. And he was like, babe. I said, yeah. He was like, okay. He was like, but you the one doing the fingerprints. And I was like, yeah. He said, well, they just, you know, wanted me to ask you, you know, and be sure. You know what I mean? He said, so you sure you going to do the fingerprint? I said, yeah, man, I'm cool. I'm going to do the fingerprint, you know. So I'm like, okay, he playing around. So he asked me that like about 5 times. He was like, man, 'cause, you know, we want you to go home. We ain't playing no game. He was like, you know, they just want me to, you know, just make sure before they come back up here and get you. I was like, okay, word. I said, we good. So, you know, he told me to come on out. You know, I went back down there. You know, I did the fingerprint and everything. And, of course, once I did the fingerprint now, they brought these, they had like four forms that they had brought up for me to sign after they did the fingerprint. So, of course, I had all 5 of them, all 4 of them, you know, documented, bam, without recourse on all of them, right? So, the officer get him, you know, he take him, he like, all right. And, so they take me upstairs, you know, to sign the bond. So Craig had already, you know, said, you know, when you sign the bond, sign that without recourse. So I signed the bond too. Then when I signed it without recourse. You know what I mean? So they ended up doing the bond and everything, and bam, you know, it went from, you know, they were trying to, you know, really get me to pay the bond earlier, you know, but anyway, like you said, they couldn't really hold me in there how they were trying to hold me. So, but long story, man, they end up letting me out, you know what I mean, off the bond and everything. And I end up, hold on one second. And then I looked on the receipt that they gave me, right, when I did bond and stuff, right. You know, on the receipt, man, it's saying that they saying
no hold.
Hello?
Is that the no hold, the one that you're talking about?
No, the one where they was talking about charging, you know, me, you know, they using my name in all caps and all that, like, you know, I agreed to pay back $1,050 on one, and it's another one where it was saying that I agreed to pay back $2,500, you know, dollars on the signature bond that I had did. So this right here, what they're trying to use my signature for, you know. So you know, they can get paid back. It's what, $3,550. You know, so they kind of like wrote you know, I don't know how they gonna write that up, but you know, there was like what I signed on the bond, and like there was like a piece of the receipt or something that they gave me. You know, so.
And Chris, you know, reminding that without recourse does allow them to still process the transaction. It really does in commerce. But then also a reminder I want everyone to know is that what you say earlier, you had your USAR license, and then they found your state of Georgia license.
Yep.
On
Yeah. I had, they found, I had both of them was in the wallet, and they end up, you know, I guess they end up looking, you know, when they end up handcuffing me, right? The guy ended up dropping my wallet trying to check my pocket. So when he dropped it, he opened it up and looked at my USAR license again, and then he ended up, you know, digging in my pocket, and I left that out. And I was like, hey, I said, you can put that in my back pocket for me. I said, I already showed you my ID. But anyway, he ended up seeing my other ID, you know, he went in my wallet and stuff like that. So I told him to go through my wallet. And he was like, okay, but he never did say anything about ID then until I ended up getting in the car. You know what I mean? And they had brought me my wallet and stuff back. But yeah, like I was saying though, you know.
And if I could introduce really quickly, if you don't mind, Canada have found a law inserted into the document about the fact that if you have a foreign driver's license issued by a foreign government, you're still good. So that law was in there too. So they have that in their possession as well. So they could have been able to take your USAR license that you showed them in the beginning and not have to go through any of your other pockets for identification. It's on my ear.
Yeah. It was just, you know, I didn't have, you know, the proof on me. You know, if I would have had the proof, who's to say, you know, he still wouldn't have been acting, you know, funny. But, you know, I think it would have been, you know, a different situation. And then, you know, even with that, it wouldn't have been no loopholes for them to go through and try to, you know, come at it at no other angle, you know, saying, you know, I had their tag, I had their driver's license, you know what I mean? But it's like they got a little leeway, you know what I mean? But ultimately, they still violated, you know what I mean? So, you know, they gonna have to, you know, we gonna deal with them on that end. But like I say, if, you know, if I had everything turned over like what I'm doing now, like I got my registration back, I got proof of my registration, you know, I got my ID, you know, I got to send their driver's license back, send the tag back, you know what I mean? And that way, you know, it ain't no confusion. I'm talking about like I'm all the way lined up, you know what I mean, with who I'm saying I am, like and like that, you know, that's part of the key, you know, like with all of us, like to get lined up. So, you know, with us being, I'm looking at it like with us being citizens, USAR, right? Like we got an oath, so, you know, we still out here on our oath to our government, you know, but we still out here like, you know, half stepping. Like I'm going through the process right now, you know what I mean? Being honest, I ain't even got all my stuff, you know, down. But what I'm saying is like now, really, it's a time like to move, cause like it's a transition, you know what I mean, going on right now. You know what I mean? So like it's really like now is the time to move, man. We need to be switching all our stuff over, you know, going through the expatriation process, you know what I mean, and all that. Like it's time to go ahead and be either USAR all the way, you know what I mean, or not. You know what I mean? And I know it's a lot of people that, you know, done left USAR and stuff like that too. But the one thing that I learned, man, through this whole experience, like when you stand on your square and you confident in who you are, because like I say, I'm telling everybody USAR, because I done seen like firsthand, like the paperwork that they sending, like they own it, like immediately. Like I was talking to Secretary Ross Woody Bay, and he was like, man, you know, they do a lot of work, but he said anytime they get any news about one of our nationals, he said they drop everything. And I was like, word, like mad respect, man, because it's like, I'm talking about they own it, and I'm talking about I'm in that place, I'm up, you know, when I was down there, you know, the hellhole, like I lost track of time, I was just in there, man, like I fell asleep, you know, several times, you know what I mean, but the whole while, like they actually in there, man, pushing papers too, like that jail actually, like they know who I was, And like I say, you got officers that's out here on the streets. Like, a lot of them know who we are now. Like, that story in the jail, like, that went out. Like, you know, a lot of them talk amongst each other. Like, they know each other. Like, when my wife ended up getting pulled over, you know, I ended up getting released. You know what I mean? Once I did get out, my wife, right? This was another story, but
Brother Chris, before we get to part 2, which is what involves Tara, let's give a little behind the scenes since you introduced it of what's going on here when we drop everything. Because Ben Canabay is on it, and, you know, he's trying. We have a group of people, actually, Brother Atkinsville, and Vice Chair Commissioner, and also Taiwan Bay, Smith Bay, who is the Attorney General for USAR. So there was phone calls coming in because Canabay made a phone call, as well as Taiwan Smith Bay, the USAR Attorney General, was the only one that made the phone call. So, but they gave him limited information. But at least we were able to get a fax information over. And in the meantime, we kind of find out your information when they're booking you. You know, our Vice Chair Commissioner is looking for that information, as well as myself. And they didn't.
Quick one, Idris. Sorry to interrupt. You're kind of staticky. It's kind of staticky when you're talking. You have like some static. Sorry to interrupt. I just what.
Oh, thank you. No problem. I was just trying to be away from the main mic where Canabay is. Canabay, did you want to elaborate a little bit on the behind the scenes and what went on? Or should we get to part 2?
Islam, you talking to me, Sister Colon?
Yes, I am.
Now, I'll let Andre Atkinson elaborate on it.
Okay. All right. Andre, you want to talk on that a bit, behind the scenes?
Okay, hold on one second.
Islam. Yeah. Today I went, back to court for a status hearing into my case.
Well, I think Canabay was trying to say that you could elaborate a little bit on what was going behind the scenes with Chris, where we were trying to. Well, I'll just because you have a part to say in this as well after we had Sister Tara speak. I just wanted to say that behind the scenes, what I see is we need to get this paperwork together, and we need the person's name, we need a fax number, we need an email, and we need to actually see when they book the person, the proof that they have committed genocide. So we see that online because they had them in there, and the supposed criminal charges, because as we know, traffic violations now end up in state court and they're criminal charges. And so, but we also see that they have them as black. So that's the main thing that we're looking for, as well as far as hardcore proof is concerned, outside of them saying that his driver's license wasn't real. So essentially, Canabay is in the background trying to think of things as they're not letting him go, because they know that he knows that he's got the state of Georgia driver's license, and they're probably doing all of these checks, and that's why they're holding him, and they're not going to let him go until court on Monday and so forth. So he's thinking of all these other kinds of documents behind the scenes that, for the fingerprinting purpose, which we did not get a chance to send over, and I had it just getting ready to send over when we heard about his release. So that's the point that we're at, that there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, because we're using Taiwan to call as the Attorney General and let them know that that's one of our nationals that they're holding, and the paperwork is being put together, and whatever other new ideas that Canabay is trying to think of for the circumstances, because it should have gone a lot smoother than that. Chris did mention that he regretted having his state of Georgia driver's license and the tags on the car. So as he was elaborating on the fact that you have to be fully USAR, that's one of the situations you run into, but they can only hold you for so long anyway. And then the paperwork will be there before, in a matter of hours after we know that you're booked. So I will yield the floor at this point, because I want to get to the part 2, and also I'll let Brother Atkinsville bring his testimony to the floor today from court. So let's have Sister Tara as well.
Quick point of interest.
Yes.
This might be just a quick question. Like on the driver's license, okay, you have your Utah driver's license, but now you have a Georgia driver's license. But like, yeah, that's the estate that I'm managing. You know what I'm saying? Because the L name, like so, me, Bobby Green, L. I am the flesh and blood, and I am the trust. Because if you look at it, it's in his name, Bobby Green. That's the trust. And like your whole life, you've been maintaining this trust, but also we've been fooled to identify as that trust. So what we're doing is stepping back and like, hey, that's the trust that I'm maintaining, and also do commerce in with that name also. I mean, are we doing that? Because that's like
Islam.
Because all I heard. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Point is, mobile. What you're talking about now is dealing in trust law. What we're talking about right now is political rights and freedom. You got to learn to distinguish these two things. What's going on? Mm-hmm. The trust law stuff is great. It's great. But the trust law stuff don't free and leave our children a nation of their own. That don't do it. Not on the level of.
I didn't say that. Excuse me for interrupting. I was just saying, like, because first of all, he did an unlawful search and seizure, or whatever. But in my opinion,
no, they didn't. They didn't. He had their plate.
ID,
yeah.
But they're saying. Excuse me.
Listen. Anybody that's been in Utah for a while, they'll tell you. Don't take this the wrong way. I tell it to everybody. The first thing we got to stop doing is saying what they doing unlawful, because they're not doing things unlawful. They're following their laws. And if you got their driver's license or their plate or your vehicle registered in their system, they're following their laws because they know you belong to them. And you got their flag out in commerce. And they're going to do what they do. Okay? So we got to learn to stop pointing the finger at them that they're doing something wrong, because what that begins to do is give you the wrong view of what's going on, and then that's how they begin to start trying to label you as being a radical, because the things that you're saying really don't line up with the law that's actually that's going on, that they're enforcing. So we do things in Utah a totally different way, because we're doing things on the level of being a state government with citizens, national citizens. So we never want to hold court on the side of the road. That's number one. The police, they don't know the law. That's why they charge people with a lot of stuff, and then the attorney general or the state prosecutor come in and they look at the charges and they say which charges are stick and what won't, and they get rid of the rest, and then they charge you with whatever. The police only know how to enforce codes. That's all they know. They got a code book. You violated this code, and this code. That's all they know. They don't know law. Okay? So I'm just telling you, you got to.
Okay, I feel what you're saying, but what I was saying was, like, when they found his ID card, like, hey, well, you still have, our card. What I was saying was, because we still have to, when I become a full-fledged member of USAW, I still have to maintain my medical insurance, right, until we get medical. So my medical insurance, until I change it, will be my name, Bobby Green. You know what I'm saying? When I go like the VA and stuff like that, until I change it to and put the L on there.
Okay.
So
but
that's
nobody.
what I'm saying. I'll be pretty much maintaining that state until.
Listen. You mix apple and oranges. Listen to me. You're mixing apple and oranges. Your medical card is not an instrument or a contract with the state that stipulate you got to have a valid plate registration, car sticker, and anything dealing with driving. That's not what your medical license is. Your medical, whatever you just said. That has nothing to do with you having a driver's license. You understand? Don't get to mixing these contracts up thinking that they're enforceable on any level of the game, because they're not.
Well, I'll say, like, so when I go in, until I get the L on my medical card, I still have to identify. Don't I? I mean, I still have to identify my estate, Bobby Green, until I get the L changed, because they're going to be like, well, do you have any other type of identification?
Okay,
sometimes at VA, so I don't tell them I'm Bobby Green, oh, here's my USAR card, but they're like, well, who is this? You're coming in to take care of this person. Who are you?
Oh, okay, listen, bro. I'm only trying to wake you up to the real truth. There is no two different. Listen. There is no two different yous. There is no two different yous. Okay, the name in all caps is still you, brother. It's still you. The name in all caps is dress and commerce that leads to the flesh and blood individual person. Okay, that's your mailbox. Look at it as a mailbox. That name in all caps is your mailbox. So anything that you, the flesh and blood person, do in commerce, that lets them know that you did it. You cannot separate yourself from that. And you can look up a million court cases, all the court cases in the world you want to look up. There is no legal argument for the straw man argument. Now, I'm only telling you. So now, the first thing I got to try to teach you is to stop trying to distinguish yourself and separate yourself from the straw, because you cannot do it. Y'all joint at the hip like Siamese twins, brother. The only way you're going to separate yourself from that straw man is you're gonna be civilly dead, which means now you can't open a bank account, you can't do nothing in commerce, and you don't want to go there. Okay? So, well, I know you studying because I can hear the things you're talking about, but wrong application is what I'm trying to tell you. You learning things, you're getting the information in, now you got to get the right application for the information you're taking in, okay?
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to clarity. That was pretty much a question. I didn't ask it right, but yeah, I just wanted clarity on that. Okay, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Next time you got the flow, we find out who this phone beeping is. Okay, you got the flow.
Yes. Okay, so I'm just trying to clarify. I'm new. Nia Evans Bay out of Cleveland, Ohio. Based on what he just said, and you're saying that, I guess what he was saying that if he were to go to the hospital or VA, and then they ask for identification, what would you provide? Would you provide the USAR license?
You provide your USAR driver's license if you have one.
Okay. And then if you don't have your USAR license,
you got to understand this. The first thing I want y'all to realize, when you put an ill or bay on your name, it is not changing your name. It's not changing your name. Ill and bay are titles. They're titles. So don't misrepresent the ill and the bay by telling somebody, oh, my name is Christopher Cannon Bay. Yeah, I'm Christopher Cannon Bay, but that's not my name. I'm saying my name with my title is what I'm doing. Just like if I was Dr. Christopher Cannon Bay, or psychiatrist Christopher Cannon Bay, or Judge Christopher Cannon Bay, Senator Christopher Cannon Bay. I'm using my title. It's a title. Some people tell these people that, oh, that's their name with the bay or the ill on it, and if you misrepresent that, now what they do is they try to charge you with false informant and failure to identify. Because when they put your name in and they add that bay to it, it's not going to come up in their system. So now they saying you committing fraud. You're trying to defraud them. You see what I'm saying? So you always tell them, my name is Christopher Cannon Bay, but Bay is the title. Because I had a police do me like that before. He's like, well, what? So your name is Chris Cannon Bay? I said, yeah. He said, so if I put that in, it's going to come up in system? I said, yeah, put Chris Cannon in there. It's going to come up. Bay is the title. I had to let him know. Bay is the title. He's like, oh, okay. You see what I'm saying?
That's why that you put the colon between your name and then the Bay?
Right, and it's also a hyphen in my name as well, because what that shows is that the state didn't adjudicate it. My big sister told me that, Sister Emmeline. She did some research and found out the way we sign our name with the hyphen in it and with the colon in it shows that our states have already been probated. That's what that shows. Islam, I guess.
Colon first and then the hyphen?
No, the hyphen goes after your first name, in between your first name and your last name. Because the only true name your mother gave you is your first name.
Okay.
Okay? And then the hyphen, and then the last name, and then the baby, the semicolon, then the baby.
So what is your middle name?
Then the hyphen goes after your middle initial.
Okay. So then, okay, right. And then Evans, and then colon, the 2 dots, and then Bay.
Right. Mm-hmm. Or ill.
Okay.
Islam.
And so what if you, I'm sorry, last point. Okay, so then if until Usar has the passport, and I've already surrendered my my license over to, I did a return and disclosed all signatures and everything. So I don't have any ID at all. So I do have a passport. Can that be used against me?
Islam.
Islam, you got to.
Islam, brothers and sisters, this is Secretary of State of USAR, Ross Woody Jr. Bay. Whenever we're doing this process, and I've been listening intently, whenever we're doing this process as we're coming from one jurisdiction to the other, or one state government to the other, and no disrespect, let's use common sense and not nonsense, because we still have to operate and take care of our families. Okay, we're moving from this. We want to do it as fast and exponentially as possible. But the bottom line, period, is you got to have some way to operate in commerce, whether it's on the other side of the fence properly and just, or you're doing it with USAR and just. And you're going to do it that way because that's the way we're teaching it. We're going to do it proper, we're going to do it noble, and we're going to do it correctly. So if you give up everything right now and you have no way or shape or form to move, and you have a job, you're in doing that. Now, I'm just saying this because it's common sense and not nonsense to be able to operate and do what you do. Now, I've heard the president put this out several times about the CDL license. If you got that, you got to take care of family. You got to have one up on you at one time if you're not using the other, because you don't want to have a conflict in jurisdiction. So you want to make doggone sure you have a way to make your ends meet, where you're making fiat so you can take care of your family as well as your person. So let's use common sense when we're doing this. You got to do step by step by step. You want to get over to USAR. Yes, you want to proclaim your nationality. Yes, you want to let the whole world know who the hell you are and your standing, your political rights, your free national standards and principles you want to stand on under your flag of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. But you also want to do this properly. So don't put yourself in a predicament where you're not able to operate for yourself or your family. That's just not going to work for anybody. I yield the floor.
Point, Andrews.
You have the floor.
Yeah, that's what I was pretty much talking about, like something to that effect. I yield the floor.
Right. Okay.
Well,
I just go ahead.
I'm sorry, Sister Queen. Go ahead.
Yes, I was only saying I returned my license, but I do have a United States passport. So I've not gotten rid of everything. I am self-employed. I do not have a job. I don't report to any of that stuff, and I don't subscribe to the medical system. I do preventative and Eastern medicine. But as far as my United States passport, I wanted to know, me being a newbie of USAR, can that be held against me to, besides whatever use it would have in other ways, like catching, going out of the country or whatever? Could that be used against me? I was just asking the question. Thank you.
Listen, I don't think we should say it could be used against you. Okay. Essentially, if you need to travel, and that's all that you have as far as identification to travel, and you have a date set to travel and you don't have any other identification, that's what you're going to use, and so you just make sure that all of your, you're prepared to basically provide a second piece with that particular name on it for travel purposes, unless you have your birth certificate with you for that U.S. passport. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have any visa identification. So no, you're just providing them with something that's valid, which is a passport for going into ports and out of ports. And as long as it is valid, there shouldn't be any issues, because they use passports as the only ID that you need. You don't need a backup for it. Does that make sense? Thank you. Yvonne, you have the floor, Brother Rob.
And also, I wanted to say with that, Sister Queen, is that normally it's two forms of ID whenever you're going to go out of the country. So if you're using a passport, it's either going to be a birth certificate along with that if you don't have no other means of identification, or a Social Security card. So you can utilize both, but normally it would be the birth certificate along with that identifier. If you did not have the birth certificate and you had another ID, then you can utilize that as well on that other side. But as long as everything lines up, you're fine. If you don't have any other IDs like USAR IDs, that does not cause a conflict, because the minute you start carrying two different IDs on you of two different nation states, it's going to be a conflict. And just like the President said earlier, when the officer stops you, they're going to be looking at you. They do not know this law. All they know is statutes and codes or codes that they go by. That's it. They're going to write tickets based upon that. And if you're on one side and it causes confusion, they're going to write what they can write on you. If you hold those instruments, they're going to write those tickets based upon those instruments that you hold. But if you're not violating anything at that particular time, like your situation, there is no violation, because you're on one side until you do get your process done. Once you do that, then, and you have USAR's instruments, now you have to surrender your instruments to them, called contracts. You're giving those instruments back. Okay? Now you operate from USAR's side. A totally another jurisdiction, a totally another nation state. I yield the floor.
Mm-hmm. Point of interest. I wanted to say this. When I was little and I watched the movie Roots, there's certain things that when I watch Roots now that I catch that I didn't catch when I watched it, of course, when I was young. And what I want to say is there's a scene where Chicken George and his father was riding in a wagon, and the slave masters, which basically they was the patrol, which ain't nothing more than the police nowadays, is the overseers. They rode up on Chicken George and his son while they was in a wagon, and the guy asked him, nigga, where your papers at? Where your pass at? So he pulled his pass out and gave it to him. That pass is nothing more than today your driver's license of the state. He looked at it and read it, and he gave it back to Chicken George's son, and the same thing that the police do today, he asked Chicken George, where your ID at? Because the pass only was a pass for his son. So the son looked at the slave, at the overseer, and was like, oh, no, sir, my pawn, he a free man. So he said, let me see your papers. So Chicken George give him his papers. That's the equivalent of you giving them your USAR driver's license. That's showing you somebody free. You're not under their jurisdiction. So the guy looked at Chicken George's papers, and he folded them back up. He say if you still in this state after 60 days, you're just another nigga again. Okay? So this is the same thing when you move from one state to another state, and the police stop you and they say, are you from out of town? You're like, well, no, I moved here, I live here. And the police first thing they tell you is, well, you got 60 days to get that license changed over. I just want y'all to really understand that ain't nothing changed. Everything is still, this is why, I study a lot of things. I really try to tell people this, and Andre Atkins and them, they see me every day. They don't really see me studying them, but I'm only trying to tell people I got a whole lot of, just think about studying all day, except for when you go eat. Maybe go for a little walk or something. but you study all day, every day for 5 years. What kind of degree do I have? What kind of degree do I have? Even college students with master's degrees don't have to study all day, every day for a 5-year period to get a master's degree. And I study all kinds of things. And I really try to teach y'all the way that God taught me, because I don't think you can learn no better than him teaching you. So that's why I try to teach y'all exactly how he taught me. And a lot of times, the students ain't taking in the information, which makes it harder for me to teach them. Because the way God taught me was he gave me lots and lots and lots and lots of information. Because the more information I took in, my perception changes according to the knowledge that I have. And the same thing with everybody on this call. The more information you take in, your perception of things begin to change. Just like the brother, he been taking in information. Now he's talking about what? What did you tell him to trust this? And you're not the name in all caps. And that's because he can take in some new information, and now he's processing it. And what he done took in, he's trying to place where it is to be used in this society, because he got new information that he wasn't made aware of before. But now he's aware of it, so now he's trying to put the pieces together. So now each one of us has knowledge. But we have knowledge in different degrees. We have to understand that. We have knowledge in different degrees. And so my biggest thing that I try to tell anybody is I can learn something from a 2-year-old because I don't know it all, but I know a great deal, and I know the main things that I need to know, and that's statehood, nationhood, and how to get us back to where we're supposed to be as a nation of people. That's what God revealed to me, and that's what I'm trying to reveal and teach y'all, so y'all can start taking things into the right perspective. Remember, God said there is nobody in a seat of power and authority unless he put them there. So when we look at these people and say, oh, they bogus, they doing this, they doing that, you got to rethink that. Because if you say they bogus, they doing this, they doing that, now you kind of basically saying then God put the wrong people in power in that position. Now, not to get it mixed up or twisted, there is no such thing as no bad government. Ain't no government bad. Now, you can elect some bad officials to sit and run and manage that government, in which they are corrupt and doing bad things, but the government is created on a piece of paper. And guess what happens when that government, like the United States, they got what they got, in God we trust, but what happens when that government and the people under that government starts to lose their trust in the way that government is operating and how they're running it? They begin to lose their citizens. People start expatriating, leaving the country. They start doing all kinds of things. So let's break it down on a lower level. You live in a city and all this bad stuff going on in that particular city. You don't like what's going on. You don't like how the city officials run it. You don't like this. You don't like that about it. Guess what you do? You end up moving to another city. So this is the same thing. So we following what our God laid down in the Bible and what our prophet told us as well, which is seek first the kingdom. The kingdom is our government. Get your government up and running, and everything else will be added on to you. Real simple. Everything else that you want will be given on to you. But you got to first establish your government, and you got to follow the principles that nobles you already taught, which was the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and also to take our place in the affairs of men and be what? Active. Because these people ain't going to recognize you if you're not carrying your Utah driver's license. They're not going to recognize you if you're not riding your Utah plate. They're not going to recognize you if ain't nobody calling them when they do mess with you and let them know, hey, he part of this government, he's a citizen of this government, and hey, he got a state constitution, and you doing this and you doing that, and yeah, he go to notice, and you classify him as an African American, you denationalize him, and under our laws say this and that. You got to use the same thing. No, you at least say you got to go back to the same fire that put you in a predicament you're in. The fire that put you in a predicament you're in was law. Law created segregation. Law created slavery. Anything these people do, they do it using law. And law is the only thing going to get you out. Following it to the letter and using it to create
4 9 5 3 8 3 6.
Islam. So, I think we got another testimony from Brother Andre Atkins Edo. I'm going to let him get the mic for a minute. And then I guess I'll be able to do my presentation after that. Islam, I give a
Islam, I think we were going to have Tara say the rest of what was happening, but, you know, bring her back for a moment, and then have Brother Andre give his testimony. So, if you don't mind, so we'll go ahead and have Sister Tara have the floor. Sister Tara, are you there?
Islam family.
Islam.
Well, actually, my end, I can hold that off for another day. So, with that being, I'll roll the credit from my end, from my husband.
All right, so then you'll be held in suspense, and we'll look forward to it. It sounds like your phone is a little choppy.
Okay. Better now?
I think so. But you were saying that you're going to hold on.
Sister Kalana.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. No, I was just saying that I just want to roll the credit and give the credit to where it's due. I love my Utah family. Can't nobody tell me no different. That oath really means something to me, and y'all showed me and my family that it really means something to y'all. So everybody on this phone and anybody else that's going to come to, I'm putting out in the atmosphere that is the vibe that we need, and that's how we going to survive. We got to thrive like that one unit, man. I'm telling you, your government got you. I ain't seen nothing like it because people been mistreated so long, and I'm telling you, it's the best thing for us. Rocking with your people. I love it. Man, I'm talking about from the get-grain. Like, I'm sorry, I'm country, y'all, excuse me. But from the beginning, they was there for us, our family. I'm talking about in the middle of the night, throughout the day. I'm talking about anytime I picked up the phone and called, they was there. Brother Atkins L, Brother President Kenny Bay, Sister Colonna, the general attorney, I can't remember his name because I was kind of sleep deprived, like at 12 o'clock in the morning, and I was on the phone with him, and I just want to thank anybody and everybody who, and Brother Ross, and Sister Emmeline, like everybody that was just there for us.
To delete and re-record, press 3. For delivery
as
options,
a family,
press 4. To fax, press 6.
I'm not
to
sure
cancel
what's
this message,
happening.
press star. To send now, press pound or hang up.
Can you stop what you're doing?
To replay your message, press 1. To delete and re-record, press 3.
Drop the call. Okay, that was it. Anyway, so Sister Tara, thank you very much. And, we'll get to yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I don't know what happened. It sounds like I was getting some kind of voicemail. They could be playing with our phones, y'all. We done been messing with them all weekend. And then Mercury's and retrograde.
That was someone checking their messages on my phone.
Okay. So, yeah, and I am, to wrap it up, we as a family, Team Hill Base over here, are so grateful and appreciative
for the love, like the family love that we received throughout all this. And when I tell y'all, man, we brothers and sisters, and that's how I was shown we operate, that's one y'all could bank on. Like, for real. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I ain't the man sitting next to the piccolo player, but I'm telling you, tell a friend to tell a friend, because this it right here, us for our people. How we going to get them to stop killing our babies on the streets? Come up out their system and come home to your family. And with that, I yield the floor, and I love my family. Peace and love.
Islam.
Peace and love. Peace and love. I yield the floor.
Islam. All right. Well, thank you. And let's go ahead and bring on Brother Andre Atkinsale, Leslie Andre Atkinsale. He's our Vice Chair Commissioner from Illinois. Islam, Brother Andre.
Islam, everybody. This is the commissioner. How are you?
Oh, yeah, doing good.
Yeah,
Islam.
Islam. Yeah, this morning I had to go back to court for my case, and the judge just knew he had me today. So first thing out of his mouth, he went to talking about the last court case where he cited law in regards to jurisdiction and why he, had jurisdiction. So I didn't object at that particular moment when I should have, and I objected later. So when I went back to court today, he goes, first thing out of his mouth was talking about, that the last court date, he stated that he had jurisdiction. Now I was like, objection. I filed a special appearance which does not give you jurisdiction. So it went from there, and it was like they purposely was doing everything that they thought would get me to subject myself into their jurisdiction. We was going actually back for a discovery, and they had this thick file of stuff that they were going to get to me and a couple of CD-ROMs, and I told the state, no, you can keep that. I'm not accepting your discovery. And I gave them one of my own. So the judge, he going to tell me, well, isn't this the same stuff you filed before? I was like, no, because it has some other additional evidence in there as well. So he going to tell me, with my special appearance, you don't have to bring this every time you come to court. And I just looked at him, like, don't think I'm stupid. I know every time I come to court, I'm going to file a special appearance. And that's what I told him. So now, he's really trying to do whatever he could to get me into their jurisdiction. And I shut it down. And, I mean, I wasn't even in the courtroom a good 30 minutes. I was in and out. Because, the more, and I'm going to say it, the more I'm around Cannon Bay, the more I pick up. And it's worth the knowledge, because once you go from some knowledge to an amount of knowledge to where you really can stand on your feet and deal with the judges and everything, then it really makes a big difference, And then the other thing, I got to commend Sister Colonna on her spiritual advice is the best word to say it. She told me to take my Orishas with me, and I did just that, and it worked in my favor. So now they think they're gonna be slick and gonna send me the discovery in the mail, since I refused it in court. And little do they know, as soon as I see the envelope in the mailbox, it's going right back to them, because I am not accepting anything that's going to put me under their jurisdiction. So, and then the other thing was, my next trial date is in September, and the state trooper is having surgery the day before. So they decided that they was just going to push the court date back, and I told the judge I object. If the trooper can't be here because of whatever the reason is, then we need to go ahead and dismiss this case. And he overruled me, on that. Because like I told him, if I got to be here, he should be here. If he's a party to this case, So it went pretty well. And with the documents that I filed today, I'm quite sure that case is over with, because I don't think they're going to push the issue. And I like I say, I commend Cannon Bay, for his hard work and his teaching and, showing me, because I've listened to a lot of people before, but not on this level. And, I'm just waiting to the next one, so I can go in there, do what I need to do, and just get this case closed and put another W in the win column. I yield the floor.
He didn't have no blue, man.
Islam. Can you check on the court website, Brother Andre, and see if it's a mistake I'm making here? I'm looking for the same information I found last night, and I'm looking by your, by name, and I'm not finding it. Let's see. Maybe this is it. I just put in your last name. Just trying to see if there was some disposition from today. Okay. Let me share my screen.
Islam, Sister Colonna, can I make a point of interest?
Sure.
I just wanted to say, commend my brother for standing his square up in that tribunal. One, I just heard you talk how you went through and used that divine scepter. So that was a beautiful thing for you to do that. The other one is when you gave the president his comments on the president of teaching, this specific law that Allah has allowed him to manifest over that time frame he was talking about. The deal with that is, I noticed that this law, out of all the other places that I've been to learn about how do we move forward as a people unified, is that this type of law here at this level is methodical. It's pinpointed. So it goes and it hits you just like it's supposed to do, y'all. When the paperwork is put together by USAR and it's put into these tribunals, it is methodical. It is paperwork that is pinpointed in law coming from your state government. And it also pinpoints the laws that they have to go by, too, on the other side of that fence. But they have to look at your laws first, your Constitution, your laws, and then it forces their hand, and you can see it from our side, but you also will notice that the laws that they have to go by from that state constitution on their side as well. You don't even get to the rest of the laws. You just talk about that state constitution. If they violate that joker right there, right off the bat, they're already in trouble. If they violate jurisdiction, they're in trouble. Those two factors alone will get them in trouble once you stand your square and enforce your constitution and your laws. So I commend the brother for standing on his square today, doing his due. I commend my brother Chris for standing his square, and his wife for staying strong, because this is what you have to do once you come in contact with these folks coming from your state government. You have to stand your square, and you have to get into that law even more and more. And like President said, you got to study on a daily basis with this law. You just can't let it up and then, okay, I got that win and then let it go. That ain't the way this works. You know, it doesn't matter how many Earth years you have, meaning birthday, you are to study every day. There is something for somebody to learn every day. Don't get it twisted. I yield the floor.
Point of interest.
You have the floor.
One word that I would recommend everybody to look up and study is the word status. And I would recommend the Black's Law fourth edition of it. When you look up that word status, and if you understand that when you took your state oath, that changed your status, it completely changed your status. And your status determined everything in this society in regards to, the community, your rank in the community, and also your relationship to your property. So that's one word I would really suggest everybody look up: status, and understand what that is, and understand how your status changed for the better when you took your oath to USAR. I yield the floor. And then, Sister Cologne, if you want to pull that up on the fourth edition and show it and read it, I mean, you can do that as well. But if not, everybody should at least look that word up. I highly recommend it. I yield the floor.
Point of interest.
Islam, you have the floor. Is that Darnell?
Yeah, for my studies on the status, by us declaring our nationality, now we're attached to a worldwide living government. The national is the highest. That's the highest status in the land. So I just want to point that out, because we are nationals, but that makes us the highest status in the land above all. And that was where I found out from my studies about status. I guess what?
Islam. So I wanted to basically say that I know that. Sorry about the background noise. I wanted to basically say that I know that Brother Darnell Brown Bay. Are you on the line with us right now?
Islam, yes.
Oh, okay, Islam. Sister Nia, we had a little background noise coming from your phone. If you could mute, thank you. Okay, Islam, we know you have court tomorrow, correct?
Islam, I do.
Islam. So do you have anything that I would just like to say that we all know that, going into court is not fun, but of course, you have USAR on your side as well. You have the government, and I know you know that. So I wanted everyone to just take their energies and just send them in a positive way to you so that this can all end. Because, of course, part of this is spiritual, but at the same time, we know that they don't have any jurisdiction. So was there anything that you wanted to add to your conversation and for your court case tomorrow?
Nothing I can think of offhand. I'm just smiling. I've been smiling all day. And then, the eclipse today, I just thought that was kind of monumental. I'm just kind of excited. I'll be glad when it's over. But I know, y'all know what y'all saying. I know what was said, and I'm gonna stand on it. It's easy. It's like walking and breathing, because I live it every day in my mind and my spirit. So I have no fears. I yield.
Islam. All right, Islam.
Islam, Sister Colonna.
Islam, you have the floor.
Point of interest. I wanted to say also to brothers and sisters, if you live in a province with another brother and sister and they have a court case, please try to go and support your brother and sister. The more we show up, remember, a species is a family, and a family is a nation. The nation shows up to support one another. If you're in that same province and that brother or that sister has a case, go show up with your fez on and your turban on and assist your brother and your sister. Because Act 25 says that if my brother's in any trouble, you're supposed to assist him. And if my sister's in any trouble, forsake her not. So if they're there and they have issues or problems on any level and you're able to assist them, you go there and you support them. And we've been in and out of tribunals doing that very thing when we've had issues in our province here. But if I had to fly to every court case, I would do that. I would show up at every one of them. And I don't care who's sitting on no bench. That's my brother and that's my sister. And I take that to heart. That's the type of allegiance I have to you and any one of you on this phone. So now, if you know somebody there, if you're close, show your allegiance to your brother and your sister. Show up. Assist. I yield the floor.
Islam.
Islam, who's that? You want the floor? Or are you just agreeing?
Just agreeing, Sister Bloom.
All right, Islam. So I also wanted to let everyone know that is great if you can support your brother and sister. We've got more people coming into the Virginia area, and I know that Brother Donnell, you had spoken with Brother Kiara, who might be on the call with us as well. I'm not sure how far away you all are, but it's good to see the communication between you all. And he was letting me know that you filled him in a lot more about USAR, and I think that might have promoted him to be more active and be more familiar. And I think that these Monday night calls are going to become, pretty much in what I put in the text was mandatory in a light way, but I'm really trying to say that they're mandatory for us to know these experiences so that we can learn from them and exactly know how we should be acting. So this process that it takes to change from the jurisdiction of that to this is a slow process for all of us. We just need to have it ingrained in us and start to really understand the distinction between the two, because it doesn't just take a moment. You can't just come in and say, I got it. It's a lot more to it than that. So it's you being sure of yourself, and it's USAR most importantly that's out in front to protect you, that can't take the risk of you not knowing what you're saying and being able to stand on your swear. So that's why there's a little bit of a wait before people can get their driver's license. The civics test, that's the first 6 chapters, that's the first requirement, as well as, communication and participation on these calls. So we're going to make sure that everyone will be able to get the Monday Night Law Task Force, because it really will become more of your civics. Every time we have our calls, we're going to have testimonies that will progress each of the cases that we are hearing about and the new ones that arise, and all of the things that are happening behind the scenes with regards to them. So I'll lastly announce, before I bring Ken Bay back, if he wants to say anything else, that the laws went out to you in your emails, and so you have until Sunday so that we can vote on them. And there are 4 vehicle laws, and if you've seen them, one of them is a little hefty. But we're asking everyone for their assistance in this, because we weren't able to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. So we're really going to, in order to get them out to everyone and to give you the time to read through them, there's a lot of things that may not be changed in them. So we'll look forward to your assistance in making those adjustments that need to be made to the laws. And there is 1 or 2 more laws that will be coming out you really will want to pass that Cannon Bay has put together. And so I'm working on those 2 to get them to you in your email as well. They're not vehicle laws, but they're extremely important. One of them is copyright, and the other one is the pardon of the president. So if it's not tonight, it'll be tomorrow. Those are not that long. Well, I take that back. Copyright is a little long. But anyway, those are additional ones, and we're trying to get them out and passed right away as soon as possible. Now, we know we want everyone to be able to read the laws thoroughly before they vote on them, but if there's what we're striving for is to get them passed by Sunday. Let me just leave it at that, because we don't want to encourage anyone not to read the laws before they say their vote. So if you can, please have a chance, look at these laws and be ready for your vote on Sunday. On that note, I think President Kennedy said he didn't have anything else that he wanted to add. Did you? Kennedy? Oh, he did want to provide some information to us, so I'm going to go ahead and send him the screen share so that he can actually be presenter on this. So, where is your... All right. Okay, so I'm going to mute out Kennedy so you can take over. Give him a moment. He's getting his screen together. Okay, we see you.
All righty. Due process of law. Due process of law. Can anybody tell me what that means to them? Anybody? Y'all know how I teach. I ask questions. Looking for some feedback. I ain't going to just give y'all all the apple. This is how you learn how to start a critical thinking and you back in school.
Point of interest.
You got to flow for due process of law. And don't be cheating, sneaking and looking up in the Black Law Dictionary on the download, y'all. Let's go.
Trust me, this answer is not going to tell you that I'm cheating because it's kind of crazy. But anyway, I believe it is the steps or processes that are taken to make sure that the law, that someone receives the proper treatment to determine or when determining that they are, whether or not they're innocent or guilty. So I guess what I'm saying is it's a process of determining one's guilt or innocence. I yield the floor.
Islam. Anybody else? Okay, I guess that means you the only brave one, Rick. Step up.
Islam, real quick.
Islam, you got to flow.
Also, doesn't it mean that they can't violate like your human rights or like your human rights and civil rights, something to that effect? I use what?
Islam, ain't no wrong answers. I ain't gonna tell nobody they wrong and what they thinking. We gonna learn what it is though. We're gonna get in depth with it. And make sure you understand what it means to be a national citizen and to have constitutionally secure rights.
Islam,
you got slow.
This is Kukuyan in Colorado. I think it would be that you are not forced to agree to something that is not in your best interest by being forced by any authority under threat, duress, and coercion, and that your whatever constitution you are under, that process of law is honored. That's my belief for due process of law.
Islam. Anybody else?
Islam.
Islam, you got slow.
Nathan Bay in Kansas. It's following your Constitution, making sure all the process of law that you have rights under are not violated.
Islam. Anybody else? All right, let's dive into it. Islam, you got to go.
Okay.
Go ahead. You got to go.
I would say your due process of law is basically having your ability to prove your case or at least have your day in court, be it in like an administrative process, but you have your side of the story that you need to tell, and also you need to get evidence from them. So your due process is the whole process of what it takes to be able to either prove your claim or someone prove their claim.
It's not. Okay. So let's find out what due process is. Y'all ready? Let's get into it. Okay. Try to make it as big as I can for y'all. Okay. I think that's as big as I'm going to get it. All right. Due process of law. In each particular case means such an exercise of the powers of the government as the subtle maximum of law permit and sanction, and under such safeguards for the protection of individual rights as those maximums prescribed for the class of cases to which the one in question belongs. You hear what they're saying? It's key. It safeguards the protection of individual rights. It also does.
One second, everybody. Cannon Bay's call got dropped, so he'll be back on in just a second.
Okay, he's coming back on in one moment. And if those of you who can screen share can see his presentation, Islam, I yield. He's back.
Okay. So, due process of law, it creates what? It's for to protect certain what? Safeguards for the protection of individual rights. What are some of your individual rights? That's a couple. Anybody?
Islam.
You got flow.
The right to travel.
Mm-hmm.
I get the floor.
You have the right against self-incrimination.
Anybody else?
You have the right to the pursuit of happiness.
It's okay.
And
now,
right for freedom of religion.
Mm-hmm.
Freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm.
Right to assembly.
Right to what?
Assembly.
The right to be, well, the right not to be trapped by a foreign government or foreign subject or foreign citizens.
Okay, look. It says those maximums prescribed for the class of cases to which the one in question belongs. What are they talking about? Class of cases to which the one in question belongs.
Islam.
Islam, can you repeat that again, President?
You got the floor.
Could you repeat that again?
What is the class of cases to which the one in question belongs?
Islam?
What are y'all on this phone? Are you Japanese, Chinese, Puerto Rican, Mexican? What are you?
Moors.
American.
Isn't that a class?
Yes.
Isn't that a class? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So now, when you establish your courts, your courts are passing legal decisions in the court, the legal decision that your courts are passing is also your laws as a nation of people, which then Moors will have Moorish case law to go by on different cases that our Supreme Court has ruled on. So those laws and those cases that our Supreme Court judges rule on becomes law for us as a nation. So that the class would be Moorish Americans and the cases would be different court cases that have been established under our court system. And different verdicts rendered under our court system. So now, due process of law. In each particular case means such an exercise of the powers of the government as the set of maxims of law permit and sanction, and under such safeguard for the protection of individual rights as those maxims prescribed for the class of cases to which the one in question belongs. They then mean a course of legal proceedings according to those rules and principles which have been established in our system of jurisprudence for the enforcement and protection of private rights. To give such proceedings any validity, there must be tribunal competent by its constitution, that is, by the laws of its creation, to pass upon the subject matter of the suit. And if that involves merely a determination of the personal liability of the defendant, he must be brought within jurisdiction by services of process within that state or his voluntary appearance. Understand that you are a Moorish American national. You now have your own state constitution. And what does due process of law stipulate about you having your own constitution? They must do what? Must be tribunal competent by its constitution, that is, by the law of its creation. This is why we must have our own courts. Your jurisdiction is complete. You got your own constitution, you have your own laws, you got your own police, you got your own state, you have your own government. The last and final thing, you have your territory. The last and final thing to make your jurisdiction complete is your judges. You need judges. Now, guess what happens? They take this Moorish American to court. They say he was selling drugs. You send your paperwork over. You file a writ of removal from their court over to your court. Why is it being removed from their court to your court? Because that young man has constitutional rights. And he must be what? So that case must be what? Passed to the tribunal competent by its constitution, that is, by the law of its creation, to pass upon the subject matter of the suit. The subject matter is the estate, the trust. Who's able to adjudicate that said subject matter, and that subject matter is the trust itself. Who's able to adjudicate over that trust and that estate? And who laws does that estate fall up under, as well as the individual who the estate belongs to? Okay? Now, this is important. It's saying if that involves merely a determination of the personal liability, they're just trying to figure out if you're liable in this court action. Andre Atkins ill. They're trying to find out if he's liable for not having a valid driver's license. Christopher Hill Bay, they trying to find out. Okay, they trying to find out if he got any personal liability. But what they finding out is he carries no personal liability. He carries no personal liability. Why? because he's reattached himself back to his state. So any personal liability he has, the state absorbs it, and that's why the state must come forward and stand for him and fight for him because he's part of the state. He's a state citizen, and therefore, under our state constitution, our state has secured certain rights, privileges, and immunities for him under our state constitution, and therefore, they can't enforce their laws on him. Due process of law implies the right of the person affected thereby to be present before the tribunal. And, I'm sorry, hold on. The tribunal which pronounces judgment upon the question, the judgment upon the question of life, liberty, or property, and his most comprehensive sense to be heard by testimony or otherwise, and to have the right of controvert by proof every material fact which bears upon the question of right in the matter involved. If any question of fact or liability be conclusively presumed against him, this is not due process of law. Remember, anytime they're taking our people in their court, they're moving on them under what? A presumption. A presumption. So real due process of law means if they're using a presumption against you, then that's not conclusive. That's not conclusive. The essential elements of due process of law are notice and opportunity to be heard and to defend in an orderly proceeding adapted to nature of the case. And the guarantee of due process requires that every man have protection day in court and benefit of general law, a law which hears before it condemns, which proceeds on inquiry and renders judgment only after trial. Law of the land, due process of law, and due course of law are synonyms. The law of the land is the Constitution of the United States of America Republic for us Moorish America. Now, no more presumption or inferences. Rule of Evidence, Section 600 at sequence. Presumption and inference defined. A presumption is an assumption of fact that the law requires to be made from another fact or group of facts, found or otherwise established in the action. A presumption is not evidence. That's the key. A presumption is not evidence because they presume that you are a resident or a citizen of theirs. That's not evidence that you are. That is not evidence that you are because the police said you didn't have a their state driver's license and that you had a USAR license. He's making a presumption when he says that, oh, that license ain't no good. We don't recognize that. You need this. He's making a presumption that you're a resident in his state, and therefore you should be carrying their state driver's license. And inference is a deduction of fact that may logically and reasonably be drawn from another part or group of facts, found or otherwise established in an action. According to the rules of evidence, sorry y'all, screen's up. According to the rules of evidence, it allows one to rebut any presumption. So I formally request and demand that the government, courts, judges, law enforcement place any and all presumptions on the record so that our government has the opportunity to rebut those presumptions. The rules of evidence also state that the presumptions only need to be met. In other words, simply meet the presumption, not defeat it. So they say, hey, you need one of these state driver's licenses. You supposed to have a driver's license. You say, well, I'm a citizen of Utah. I'm a United States national. I'm a Morris national. I got a driver's license. Did you just meet that presumption? Did you have to really defeat it? But you did meet it. You did meet it. It just told you a presumption is not evidence. That's because he's assuming, he's making an assumption. That don't mean it's true. The Supreme Court held that conflicting presumptions must be weighed against each other. He got to drive. He's saying you need a state driver's license. You saying you don't. You got laws that say that your government has power and authority to issue you that driver's license. You got a state constitution that says you're not a resident of there. You got their own laws that saying what? That you don't, if you got a driver's license issued by another state or a foreign country, you can drive. This case held that a presumption is evidence that must be weighed against conflicting evidence. The most that should be expected of a party in a civil case is that he prove his case by a preponderance of the evidence. When you put in that state constitution, when our nationals put in that state constitution in these courts, challenging the jurisdiction of these courts, and they put in the different documents that Utah is given and that we're sending in to the court, we're providing the court with a preponderance of evidence. A preponderance of evidence that this individual is a Moorish American national and is not a citizen or resident under their state. The most that should be expected of the prosecution in a criminal case is that it establishes the defendant's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, all you got to do is provide a preponderance of the evidence. They got to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Just the very fact that you got your own state constitution, your own driver's license, and you got laws in a charter that says that, okay, you got a valid driver's license under laws that's been passed by your nation, create a reasonable doubt in itself with any jury that'll read it, that'll sit there when we're breaking it down in any court of law. Section 600 was derived from Rule 13 of the Uniform Rules of Evidence and supersedes the Code of Civil Procedure. Do you hear that? So that lets you know the rule of evidence is even greater than the rules of civil procedure, because the rules of civil procedure governs a court and how the court runs. But that's why the rules of evidence is even more greater and more powerful than how the court is ran, because a court cannot run without evidence. So it's more important to have an understanding of how evidence is brought into the court or not allowed in a court proceeding than it is to actually understand the court proceeding. So they can bar you from bringing in certain evidence if you don't know the rules of evidence on how to bring it in. The evidence code classifies all rebuttable presumptions as either one, presumption affecting the burden of producing evidence, essentially Thayer presumption, or two, presumptions affecting the burden of proof, essentially Morgan presumption. Section 603, a statute providing that a fact or ground of facts is prima facie evidence of another fact establishes a rebuttable presumption. A presumption affecting the burden of producing evidence is a presumption established to implement no public policy other than to facilitate the determination of the particular action in which the presumption is applied. Then all the people will hear and be afraid and will not act presumptuously again. When you enter the land which the Almighty Creator gives you, and you possess it, and live in it, and you say, I will set a king over me like all the nations who are around me. You shall surely set a king over you whom your Father the Creator chooses, one from among your countrymen. You shall set as king over yourselves. You may not put a foreigner over yourselves who is not your countryman. You hear that? That's out of the King James Bible. In this country, the states are the kings. The people and the state are one and the same. The court is to protect against any encroachment of constitutionally secured liberties. The court must obey the Constitution rather than the lawmaking departments of government. It must, on their own responsibility, determine in any particular case if these limits have been passed. The Supreme Court has stated no executive, legislative, or judicial branch can war against the Constitution without violating his undertaking to support it. The United States Constitution, Article 3. Section 1 defines the basic structure of the judiciary and the requirements for judges. It establishes one Supreme Court and permits Congress to establish inferior courts as they see the need. Judges of all courts will be compensated with a pay level that is not to be diminished while they hold their office, and those offices are held during good behavior. Thus, asserting that the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution was primarily intended to confer citizenship on Negroes, the court in the slaughterhouse cases declared that amendment protected from hostile state legislation the privileges and immunities of citizens of the United States, as distinguished from the privileges and immunities of citizens of the states, and that the latter embrace generally those fundamental civil rights for the security and establishment of which organized society has been instituted, which rights remain with certain exceptions mentioned in the federal Constitution under the care of the state government, to the same effect. And in the civil rights cases, the court said that the 13th Amendment related only to slavery and involuntary servitude, which it abolished. And although by its reflex action it established universal freedom in the United States, and Congress could probably pass laws directly enforcing its provisions, yet such legislative power extended only to the subject of slavery. And its incident with the result that the denial of equal accommodations in inns, public conveyances, and places of amusement, which Congress attempted to forbid in the Civil Rights Act passed March 1st, 1875, imposed no badge of slavery or involuntary servitude upon the Negro, but at most infringed rights which were protected from state aggression by the 14th Amendment, the court refusing to decide whether the accommodations and privileges sought to be protected by the Federal Civil Rights Act were or were not rights constitutionally deniable. Demandable. After the Civil War, many of the over 180,000 African Americans who served in the Union Army returned to the states of the old Confederacy, where systematic efforts were made to disarm them and other blacks. Reconstruction, America's unfinished revolution. Hereafter, the laws of some states formally prohibited African Americans. I want y'all to catch this, pay close attention. This is 1988. The laws of some states formally prohibited African Americans from possessing firearms. For example, a Mississippi law provided that no freedman, free Negro, or mulatto not in the military service of the United States government and not licensed so to do by the board. Hold on, y'all. You got stuff popping up on my screen. Can't get rid of that.
Can you exile it?
A quick one, Agent, if I may.
hold on 1 second. 1 second.
Are you?
Not licensed so to do by the board of police of his or her county shall keep or carry firearms of any kind or any ammunition, dirk or bowie knife, certain offenses of freed men. I reached the same result by another independent line of reasoning. Appellee was born a dual national. Listen, y'all. He was born a dual national. He is a citizen of the United States because he was born here. He was born here. And a citizen of Mexico because his father was a Mexican. No, Ali told us we are descendants of the Moabites. We are descendants of Moroccans born in America. You have a dual nationality at birth. You are a Moorish American, which makes you a United States citizen and a citizen of Morocco, right? So, this is why we have to understand Noble Drew Ali teachings and not just say, well, I ain't a United States citizen, which technically, no, we're not United States citizens. And our downfall has been what? We have not denounced the allegiance to the United States. We've maintained that allegiance, and by maintaining that allegiance to the United States, we also maintain the status of the subject.
More.
Somebody needs to mute their phone. We also retain our status as a subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, therefore keeping you as Negro, colored, or black. So now, once you proclaim your nationality as a Moorish American, you shed that. You shed that. Yeah, you're still an American. Why? Because you're born on the American continent, but you're a Moorish American national. You're at home. Just like this Mexican citizen was born here, but he's also a Mexican citizen because that's the land of his father. You're already in the land of your father, which is America. And your true nationality is Moorish. So you're a Moorish American. So you're the only person really in this country, on this continent, once you proclaim that you're a Moorish American, you don't have that dual citizenship anymore. You're the national citizen. You're already at home. Just like if this Mexican guy, if he was in Mexico, he wouldn't have dual citizenship in Mexico because he already home. But by him not being in Mexico and being born here in America, he has dual citizenship, automatic, dual nationality. Okay. The only expatriating act of which appellee stands accused is having sworn an oath of allegiance to Mexico. If dual citizenship, per se, can be consistent with United States citizenship, then I cannot see why an oath of allegiance to the other country of which one is already a citizen should create inconsistency. One owes allegiance to any country of which one is a citizen, especially when one is living in that country. I want y'all to really understand this, man. All these people are here in your country. They owe you, being a national citizen, their allegiance. So guess what? Soon as the rest of our family wake up and stop going back Negro, colored, black, and African American and become Moorish American nationals again, all these people are under our protection. Not our people being up under their protection, which that's what we have right now. Our people are under their protection because they don't know who they are. So as soon as they wake up, proclaim their nationality, and the government in which they live become Moorish American nationals again, now all the people here in this country that are immigrants with the dual nationalities and dual citizenship owe allegiance to us. They owe allegiance to us. And if they don't want to pledge their allegiance to us, then they got to go. Simple. I cannot see why an oath of allegiance to the other country of which one is already a citizen should create inconsistency. One owes allegiance to any country of which one is a citizen, especially when one is living in that country. The formal oath adds nothing to the existing foreign citizenship and therefore cannot affect his United States citizenship. The right to equal protection of the laws is a right which preceded the adoption of the Constitution and does not depend for its existence upon that instrument. When it guaranteed to all citizens the equal protection of the laws, it was merely declaratory of a fundamental and inalienable right of every citizen of a free republic. Okay, now, I'm going to scroll back up because I know y'all got questions and things y'all want to say. So, anybody with a point of interest, bring your point of interest. Whatever part of this presentation you want to make a comment on, I'll go to it and answer your question.
Islam,
you got the floor.
Kikuyan in Colorado. So, does that mean that these Mexicans that they're trying to deport out of the United States, if they both declare their Mexican citizenship and their Moorish citizenship, then the de facto United States cannot be, sending them out of, off of their land?
Well, the key word is Mexican. See, as long as they keep calling themselves Mexican, then they're part of the corporate world state of Mexico. You understand?
Yeah, but this was Mexico. When it
keyword emphasis, was.
Mm-hmm.
Was. Territory and land change every day. Territories and lands change every day. So, if you say you're Chinese, that means you're part of the corporate world state of China. If you're a Manchurian, that means you're part of the sovereign people of the land of Manchuria, which is the real name of China. You understand?
Yes.
You got corporate world state citizens out here that are part of the corporate world state. And you got in Boricua, which is really Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is the corporate world state, but those people that are under the Aboriginal people of the land is Boricuan, and the name of the country is Boricua. You follow me? Just like here is the United States, but the Aboriginal people of the United States are Moorish American.
Hmm.
And the real name of the country is Morocco.
Yeah. So if they, if the Mexican, descendants declare themselves Moors, then they can't break up the families and send, the parents to Mexico and, keep the children here, or none of that. If they declare themselves Moors, descendants of the Olmecs and people who are rightfully on their land.
Now, this is what I'm going to tell you. I want you to listen to me close.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't going to answer that because we ain't got 16 secretaries to start writing down all the names.
Yeah.
Okay, Islam.
Okay, Islam, I yield the floor.
Anybody else?
Point Andrews. I'll go ahead about the phone.
You got.
Okay. You said the country is Morocco. The land is American, or America, and we are Moorish Americans.
Islam.
Okay, so Morocco being the country, to my understanding, the country is a portion of land in which a government or inhabitants live. Would you agree with me on that?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just trying to distinguish between, well, I just want to make sure I'm understanding that Morocco is not the land necessarily, but it's a territory in which the government exists. Can you help me understand, that distinction?
America and Morocco is the same thing, just different names for it. Some people call it Turtle Island. Some people call it Frog Island. Some people call it Land.
Okay.
Country has more than one name. Don't get caught up on the name.
Okay. I yield the floor.
Anybody else?
Quick point of interest.
You got the floor.
Brother Greenell from Alaska. I just wanted to state that, the driver's license, that's used in the act of, commerce, so when you drive in trucks, buses, working for the state, driving their trucks, what have you, when you're driving from your job to your home, you don't need a driver's license because you're traveling.
Who told you that?
I read that. I can't remember. I read it somewhere. I can't remember where I read it. I read it a while back. But...
Okay, now listen to me. This is what I'm gonna teach you how to start doing.
Yeah. Ain't that the liberty, the freedom?
Listen to me. When you leave out your front door, when you're outside of your house, you are part of commerce. I don't care that you're driving from work to home. I don't care if you going to the park. You can be walking. You ain't even got to be in no car. The second you walk out your front door, you are operating in the sea of commerce. You got it?
Yeah. I heard that.
The whole country is underwater right now.
I got the amateur law, yeah.
No.
Got you.
The whole country is underwater.
Roger. Okay, I just that was the point I wanted to make because that's what I thought. But I thank you once again for clarifying that. And then another thing, I forgot. Never mind. All right, thank you. I yield the floor.
Take your time, brother. Take your time. Ask your question. Take your time.
Oh, Islam.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to state also in that book, African and Native Americans, you stated that no Negro or mulattoes are permitted to carry weapons. In that book, in the censorship, censorship, or not censorship, where they go through and count all the people. I can't remember what the word is. Censorship. I'll say again.
It's called census.
Yeah. In that book, they describe who the mulattoes are and how it became what it is today. But pretty much the mulattoes were the indigenous peoples who mixed with the actual African slaves, because there were African slaves brought over here. And from that book, that's why I got the pretty much the vision of why we were called African Americans. But also in that book, it pretty much describes who the Pilgrims are and how they distinguish between an Indian and a slave. If you got caught up and they picked you up, you're a slave. Even though your mom right down the street is an Indian and all your family is right down the street, they're Indians. But just because they caught you up POW status, you're a slave. But in that they describe who the real mulattoes are, which is us, the indigenous peoples, who mixed in with African slaves, thus the African Americans. That name. I get the floor.
Islam. Anybody else?
Islam.
You got the floor.
I can't just listen to that and not comment. first of all, you go to any reservation anywhere in the United States, and you see there is no difference between Moors like me and the Cherokee, which I am one, and a Blackfoot, which I am one. You got, there are no Indians. This is not India. There's not one damn person anywhere in North America that's an Indian. So I see my cousins, my sisters and brothers, whether they're Lakota or, Cherokee or whatever, they're still Moors. And if I see my relatives, no matter what shade of color their skin, they're just as much Moor as I am. Again, we all descended from the Olmecs. We are all owners of the land. Not one damn one of us is an Indian. And again, I am not going to put a line between, Aboriginal people and call, this one that, we're all part of Moorish tribes. Moorish tribes called Cherokee, Moorish tribes called, Lakota, whatever. We're Moorish tribes. We're not Indians. We're all one family, one the same. We all have Olmec ancestors. So, I'm here to put an end to that. I am not going to disown any part of who I am, and I'm not going to identify with any word Indian. I've never been to India. With that, I yield the floor.
Quick point of interest on that. I didn't say Indians. I'm saying that the people that they classified as Indians look like me and you. But, this is back in the 16 and 1700s in this book. So the same people that they're calling a Negro a slave, you a slave, look just like what they call the Indians, but the indigenous peoples, like who the Pilgrims had Thanksgiving with, the Indians, the indigenous peoples. We're the same people, except if you caught up, now you classified as a Negro, and that's how the Negro, the slave thing came to be. But in this book, you'll see the mulatto, the Indians, who they call the Indians, the indigenous peoples, and the slaves are the same people. It's just the names and how they pretty much over time put themselves in there to find out the Indians and all that. I'm not saying that who I consider the Mongoloid Indians, the Native Americans, that's what I consider them, but nothing bad. But I don't consider them altogether Moors, because my mom's from Mississippi, she's Cherokee. My dad's from Arkansas, he's Blackfoot. But if you do the Dawes Registry and look through all them registries, we don't see ourselves nowhere. They done booted us out. So, that's not love. That's not love, but I just don't consider them Moors. I do the floor.
Point of interest.
You got the flow.
Well, to be honest with you, the term Indian is actually based on another word from indigo. It was used to describe us as being blue-black. That's where the term Indian comes from. That just is another language variation of indigo. When they came to our lands, we was in the sun chilling, not in our business. And we were blue-black. I yield the floor.
That's all. Anybody else? Can I get somebody to talk about due process of law instead of Indians and Olmecs, so that these nationals that's living right now, not way back in 1622 and all of that, but that's living in 2017, can have an understanding of how to explain that to the police and to these courts if they happen to walk in them, and to their other brothers and sisters that's walking around still calling themselves Negro, colored, black, and African American.
Point of interest.
Yes, on the process of 14th Amendment. I'd like to comment on that.
You got flow.
In the they speaking about in the 14th Amendment. This is Nathaniel Bay in Kansas. When he's speaking about the 14th Amendment, they're saying that a citizen cannot be deprived of life, liberty, without due process. So is that saying as long as they follow their laws and their codes, they can do whatever they want to?
No, that's not what that's saying. That's not saying as long as they follow their laws and their codes, they can do whatever they want. That's not what that's saying. They must uphold the law. Statutes. Let me show you. I'm gonna prove that to you right now. The statute can't supersede the Constitution. You see this right here? This is some of my notes. Hold on. This particular one says a presumption under Illinois law that unmarried fathers are unfit violates process. No, not that.
Okay. I'm getting it. Their laws are all based on presumption. So if you don't rebut the presumption, then that's when they can follow their laws and adjudicate you.
There you go. They roll right over you.
Okay.
They get to roll right over you. It is an unconstitutional deprivation of due process for the government to penalize a person merely because he has exercised a protected statutory or constitutional right. I can think of no special circumstances that would justify use of a constitutional privilege to discredit or convict a person who asserts it. The value of constitutional privileges is largely destroyed if person can be penalized for relying on them. This is some of my notes.
Yeah, I'm getting
Islam.
Islam, you got slow.
You're slow.
This comes right down to, are you going to let someone else tell you who you are? And that's why when they call you an African American in a court of law, you must object. I am not that. I am a Moorish American citizen. I am not Indian. Whether it comes from indigo or not, you're not indigo either. You're not blue-black. There's no part of my skin that's blue-black. I am not going to allow some, European to tell me I'm something that I am not. I'm just not going to do that. God doesn't give me the leniency, to allow someone else to call me something that I'm not. So, that's not going to happen. So, stop identifying with these people that haven't learned in 500 years that there are no Indians, in this land. Identify who you really are, Moorish American national, and don't let them call you anything else. With that, I yield the floor.
Islam,
you got slow.
Come on, Andrews. Yeah, I think people are missing my point. What I'm saying is because the prophet said himself. Because there's Moors out here that I've seen some video, they want to change his death certificate from Negro or whatever color black to Moor. He said don't change anything. There's Moors out here getting ready to change their on their birth certificates from Negro to Moors. The prophet said the Negro title on your birth certificate is the evidence of all that we're talking about from 16, 14, 15, whatever, all that put together. Negro. So that's what I'm saying. That all this stuff we're talking about is just evidence that the prophet said the Negro title. That's the evidence. So we need
y'all going back. Islam, y'all going back in history. But y'all going back in history. Come on, stay with me. We in 2017. Come out the time machine, y'all. Come out the time machine.
I'm not saying let's stay here.
But I'm saying y'all conversation is still there. Come out of there. Shut that down. Shut that down. You're in 2017. What's Amendment 18 of your state constitution? Can you answer that?
No, I cannot.
Amendment 18. This is what you need to be. This is what I'm trying to tell you. If you can't answer that straight off the top of your head, you need to come to the future. Because this is what I'm trying to give you right now. Because Amendment 18 of your state constitution says that no state government citizen shall sit in judgment over another sovereign government state citizen, and you are part of a sovereign government state. Okay? That's what you need to know right now. Not what, I don't care if the people was green back then. Don't do me no good in 2017. Y'all having a conversation about something that y'all should not be having a conversation about. Leave that alone. Because y'all ain't back there. Y'all right now. Learn the things I'm trying to tell y'all. A lot of things is out here, and they hoping that you focus off and draw your attention to trying to figure out if the people was blue, black, or if they was Indian, or if they were. Look how much time and energy you putting into that, but you ain't spent no time and energy on your own state constitution. You're a newly formed state government. What does the 15th Amendment in your state constitution say? That's protecting your God-secure rights. What is them saying right now for you? You gonna go in there and argue with the police on the side of the road or in the courthouse? You gonna tell the judge about Indigos and Indians and mulattoes and blue-green people and blacks? Are you gonna be quoting your state constitution? What's gonna let him know your secure rights? What's important?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that we didn't get to Utah without going down that road. We all read all that knowledge. I mean, there's newbies here, people that don't know this information. But we all got to this point. I'm a Moorish American national, in which I am. You have to read the past. How you gonna identify as a Moorish American national if you don't even know who your ancestors are? That's all I'm pointing out. And I feel you on that. Like, let's stop dwelling on that. But I mean, there's new people here who might not know that. So it's in the conversation. Meeting. How you?
Act 6. You know Act 6?
I'll say again.
Do you know Act 6?
Of the Bible?
Of the divine constitution and bylaws of the Moorish Science Temple of America?
No. I haven't gotten out. I've been on other things doing.
With us all members must proclaim their nationality. And we are teaching our people their nationality and divine creed so that they know they're not Negro, color, black, or African American. If you're trying to learn the stuff that you're talking about, I don't have a problem with you learning it, but it's somewhere you can go to learn that. What I'm trying to make sure you know is your constitutional secured rights under your state government. Because they're not going to teach you what I'm teaching you right now. I'm trying to make sure you understand what due process is. Because they're not going to teach you what due process is. Now, I'm only trying to pull your coattail. I hear everything you're saying. I hear it. I'm trying to only get you to recognize none of it does nothing for you. None of that what you're talking about right now. Yeah, we understand. We know we descendants of the Olmecs. We know we know we're a bad nation of people. No, but all he teaches us this in the Circle 7 Quran. He say time never was when man was not. We already know there is no beginning or no ending for our people. That means we've been here forever. That's what aboriginal means, since the beginning. We don't have to keep talking about that. That's all I'm trying to get you to understand. It's more important things that you need to learn right now, such as nationality, citizenship, status, and your rights. Being a Moorish American citizen right now. Your government right now.
Point of interest.
You got the flow.
Yeah, I was just pointing out, because when you was reading through there, it did say the mulattoes, like no Negroes or mulattoes. I was just pointing out, who the mulattoes were. And that's, you know what I'm saying, it's based off this book. So we have an understanding. When that was read, some people might think mulattoes are half African-American or Negro and half white. They're not talking about those people. Those are the new mulattoes. I was just pointing out that the real mulattoes are us. You know, like when they was talking about the battles. Okay, I feel what you're saying, but all I was doing was pointing out because it was read and it was
But I'm saying you like fixing your cell. You keep going back in that same circle. I understand what you was doing. What I'm trying to get you to understand, listen, I understand what you was doing. I get it. We got it. I understand why you was explaining that. I got it. Yeah. But I need you to understand what I'm doing. What I'm doing is trying to teach you your right now in 2017, some stuff that really matters to you. That when you walk out your front door, you're not misrepresenting yourself. Though you may know your nationality, do you understand how nationality is conferred on you? Do you understand that you got to be part of a state? I'm not.
Yeah,
you understand that?
I just wanted to address the mulatto. That was it.
We got it. I'm steady telling you we got it, and you keep bringing the mulatto back up again. Right?
No,
we got it.
I'm not trying to bring it back in the past. Okay, I just wanted to point that out, but you're the one dragging it on, I believe. You know what I'm saying? I keep bringing it up, but, I mean, you dragging it on like I don't understand where you at. I know where we're at. I just wanted to...
Islam, point of interest.
I yield for...
Listen, what I wanted to say, brothers and sisters, is that, you know, I know everybody on this line have been studying for a while, have different levels of truth and knowledge that they have as it pertains to us as a people. But however, I've learned the information I have taken in throughout my life is this. I have always been on the journey of truth to find out what something does for us and how something is going to move us forward. I have found my little brother, who is Cannon Bay, when he's talking about law. And this law, when you get done speaking about it, and what he's teaching right now is how it's going to move us forward as a people. When we get done with our conversation right now, if I ask my brother Bobby or anybody else that made a comment, which I understand, overstand that history, and I know we're attached to all that history, just like he just got to so eloquently explaining. All of you did. I respect all of you for doing that. However, when you get done with your conversation, just like anybody on the internet, did they move you forward, unified as a people after that conversation? If you can't say yes, then it's not doing nothing for you. But just like learning Moore Science Temple, learning the moral teachings in a church, Baptist church, any of it, it's all private. But we all need to know that history. We can teach our families move forward. But what the president's saying, from my understanding, is what is it that moves us unified together as a people right now in this day and age? And that is law. Law is what governs all, and it's what moves us all unified as a people. And I don't disrespect anything that any one of our brothers and sisters have said. You are absolutely right, all of you. But the bottom line is we need to learn our law right now. And when you can pick you apart like that, it's one thing, because I know he can do it when he's talking about that Constitution. That's why I'm on it every day. I have to keep staying on that, because I have to be able to bring it out just like everybody else and just like him. When somebody challenges you on your Constitution, you got to be able to stand your ground on that Constitution and them laws. We don't pass these laws just to be passing them. We pass these laws to be able to protect us and divert these people from having us to have all these headaches we've been having all this time. So I commend you on that, brothers, for the history, but law is what governs all. We need to learn it. We need to stay on it. Islam. I yield the floor.
Another quick point of interest, if I may.
Point of interest.
I know I'm talking quite a bit. Oh, go ahead, sister. Go ahead.
Point of interest. Thank you, Brother Ross, for allowing us to know that we have a certain point that Cannon Bay was trying to bring up. And then plus, my point of interest is that we've gone past 3 hours, and we cannot go past 3 hours. These calls get too long. we have a very interesting topic that Cannon Bay was trying to finish, and so we'll have to probably postpone it until next Monday, where we do testimonies as well as more. If that was Brother Bobby, let me allow you about 5 seconds or 10 seconds to mention what you want to mention, and then we have to end our call. We've got live, it's all of us.
It's all good. I'm going to end the call. Thank you, though. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. Cannon Bay, did you want to close up, or did you want to just go ahead and end our call?
I'm just going to say this. I don't want nobody to take what I'm telling them the wrong way. Just understand that you can learn 10,000 new things every day for the next 10,000 years, and you still never learn everything it is to learn. Therefore, if you don't get somebody to focus you and fine-tune you in on what's important out of all these many things it is to learn, then you may find yourself in the same situation for the next 20 years, and your children going to be in the same situation, because the things that you should be focused on, which is political rights and freedom, being a national citizen, reclaiming your land, rewriting your laws as a nation of people, and the things that are important to perpetuate all us as a nation of people. If your focus is not, I eat, breathe, sleep this. I eat, breathe, and sleep free national principles and standards. Anything else, it really don't catch my attention. It's not going to hold my attention too long. I'm not worried about money. I'm not worried about strongman and all this other stuff that people talk about and what they're teaching and what they're talking about. My only concern is the protection of my people and us perpetuating to the level where the rest of the world can hear our voice as Moorish American people, because the whole rest of the world is waiting to hear your voice. And unless you stand up as a nation of people, they will not be able to hear your voice because you are domesticated, just like a dog or a cat. Islam,
Islam.
Good point. Islam. Is this Nana?
Yes, I have a request. My request is I would like very much to have this subject on due process of law repeated again in the near future. I really feel that I did not fully understand it, and so I am just requesting that we have this subject again in the Law Task Force class in the near future. I would appreciate it. And I yield the floor. Thank you.
Islam. And we'll send out the recordings from today as well once it's finished being edited by Cannon Bay. And I'm sure he's going to continue this on next week as well, because there was a lot of good points that he was making. I don't think he got a chance to say it, but what he was talking to everyone about was the document that was put into court for Brother Andre, which was a really excellent document, and loaded with a lot of court cases for the judge to pay attention to. Not having to Islam?
Point of answer real quick, Kalona, I forgot. I did want to show one more thing. This is the document that I created for Christopher Hill Bay, just to show y'all and get y'all understanding of how we got to operate. This is when one of our nationals, if they take you to a police station and they're talking about fingerprinting you, this is one of the new documents that we're going to start sending over to them. It's called a fingerprint invoice. And this is what it says. Notice a public demand to complete a fingerprint transaction. Notice to the agent is notice to the principal, and their public and private capacity. Notice to the principal is notice to the agent in their public and private capacity, applicable to all successors and assigns. We have received your request, Christopher Hill Bay, a living, breathing, full liability man, hereby declare. I took that out of that. That's not the right one. I took that out. This should be in all caps. Hold on, y'all. Let me get the right one. Let me bring the right one up. One second. One second. Okay, here we go. Oh, man. Clone, can you bring it up? This ain't the right one. I want the one on our letterhead. Hold on, y'all. She gonna bring it up. You gotta share your screen. I can't see your screen. Oh, wait a minute. Let me go to the bottom. Yes, can I see your screen? I don't see the fingerprint. Can you just go over it for me, please, for them? Can you read it? Yeah.
Okay, Islam. It says, of course, it's an invoice with our seal in the top left and our flag in the top right. It's the United States of America Republic, and it's dated, and it says notice. And then it says notice of public demand to complete a fingerprint transaction. Notice to agent is notice of principals in their public and private capacity. Notice of principals is notice to agents in their public and private capacity. Applicable to all assessors and assigned to recipients. And the recipients are the United States, the state of Georgia, the county of Clayton, the city of Morwell, the sheriff of Clayton County Police Department, Circuit Court of Clayton County, officers or quasi-officers, all bar associations, and all other persons acting in the name of or are connected in any way to any other corporations and all other corporate members who are or who may be associated with any complaints against a national citizen. It has come to our attention that you have made an offer to do business with the United States of America Republic, as we have received your request for Christopher Hill, copyright, and hereby issue this contract. To void this contract, do not take any property/biometric fingerprints of a national or citizen of the United States of America Republic, period. Fingerprints of our nationals are valued at $1 million and are the secured property of the United States of America Republic. Christopher Hill Bay has pledged his fingerprints and all other property that he owns to the United States of America Republic. We are sending you this presentment in contractual agreement between our corporations, and you and your agents may agree to this said contract by simply fingerprinting him. This will constitute an agreement between our agencies. Upon the completion of your agency fingerprinting Christopher Hill Bay, this shall be a confirmation of your agency's agreement to this said contract, and the transaction shall be completed. Therefore, payment is due 10 days from date of completion of this transaction. This invoice is generated upon the agreement of services. You may keep this invoice as your receipt for your records. Thank you. We value your business. And the U.S. Constitution at Article 1, Section 10 is attached and signed by our Accounts Payable Department. Receivable, to the accounts receivable. Islam, are you before? Oh, this instrument can be used as evidence for collection of debt. It further reads at the very bottom, and it says failure to pay in full within 10 business days of completion of transaction will constitute your unwillingness to cure a debt owed. And that's it.
Okay. Well, what I'm showing y'all is how to do as a state. Now, I can guarantee you, I was trying to get this finished and sent over there before he allowed them to fingerprint them. Because I knew if they got this, when he had told them, okay, y'all can fingerprint me, they was going to be like, nah, don't fingerprint him. I know, I'm 1,000% sure. They would have put him out of there without all that fingerprint mess. They would have put him out of there. So my thing is they held him there, as long as they held him there, trying to get him to get a fingerprint, because they could hold him 96 hours without processing them. They could hold him 96 hours, but they're going to eventually have to release him after 96 hours, whether you get his fingerprints or not. They're going to have to release him. But this will speed up the process along with the other paperwork that we have that we sent to the police station. But anytime one of our nationals gets stopped by a police officer and they call us, we're going to try to have this, by the time they take him from wherever they done stopped him at, by the time they get to that station, we're going to have this paperwork going to be there waiting on them, as well as the other paperwork that I created for our national when they're being arrested or detained or anything like that. We got some very strong paperwork. And so I just want y'all to let that soak in for a minute so that y'all understand your government is a business. And that's all it is. It's a business. See, they playing pretend like they not businesses. We not going to play pretend like we're not a business. We're going to let them know, oh, y'all want to do business? This what's up. Here you go. Yeah, we're going to do business with y'all. Let's do it. So I had already talked to Chris. He was all good. You know, if they take his fingerprints and keep them, if they're going to pay us $1 million, he said just make sure you got lots of commissary. He'd be good. So they fine was 15, maybe they want a $1,500 bond. We want $1 million. So they got a choice. And we can enforce this. This is a valid contractual agreement and presentment. That if they fingerprint them, they will be binding. And we will have, what's the name that they, we will have confirmation that they received it because we faxed it. Islam, I yield the floor.
Islam, I have to thank you, President, for coming up with this. This is beautiful.
No, you're welcome. But I really wanted to show y'all so y'all, I'm trying to get y'all in the right mindset so y'all can start creating contracts and documents for these people. Any situation you can think of that we may encounter with them, try to create some type of contract or paperwork to help free our people from them. But as y'all being government officials, dealing with any problems or situations with these people that we might incur. Now, I also created this. I'm going to show you my idea, how my mind works. I'm going to show y'all. Let me show you. See this right here? Oh, you got to give me the screen. Give me the screen for long so I can show them this. I'm going to show y'all how my mind works. This is what I do all day. See, some people running around all day doing stuff, physically running around. I sit still and let my mind do the running. And by me sitting still and letting my mind run, I come up with stuff like this. Let me show you. So now, USOP bond division, cash bail bond. So I had an old bond slip. I took that bond slip, I scanned it, I converted it to a Word doc so I'd be able to type on it, and I changed a lot of some of the wording in it. So this right here, if they take one of our nationals to their police station, they talking about a bond, we could send our own bond over there for him. Why not? So this bond right here say And we able to create our own case number. Why are we letting them create a case number? This is how I'm viewing it. Why are we letting them create a case number for one of our people? If he signed our bond, then this clearly say, I, Chris McCann, acknowledge myself bound to the United States of America Republic. Right? So here go the amount, $10,000, hereby deposit, a cash security of $1,000. But we can make the bond whatever we want. It can be an I bond. We can make it whatever we want it to be. If I shall appear as ordered by the court to answer the charge in this case, and shall appear from day to day thereafter as may be required, and shall satisfy all fees, fines, and restitution which may be adjudged against me, then this bond shall be void, and the cash security shall be returned to me less the following. 1, $5 filing fee. 2, an administrative fee of not more than 10% of the cash security up to a maximum of $50. 3, any fees, fines, or restitution ordered by the court. And 4, any necessary legal and attorney fees incurred by the court on my behalf. If I do not appear at the time, so this ain't nothing but a contract. Everything they doing is contract, y'all. Everything is contract. Study contract law. Please study contract law. Okay? So now, the person, when they signing this bond slip, they agreeing to the terms of this contract right here. If I am charged with a felony, acknowledge that I may not leave the province of Indiana without permission of the court. My signature on this bond shall be held a waiver of extradition proceedings in any state, territory, or country in which I may be found. And the vicegerent, marshal, or other state law enforcement officers may take me into custody without further orders or proceedings in this jurisdiction or the jurisdiction in which I am found. But then they must, I'm not through with this. When I get through with this, it's going to say if any other law enforcement officer was to find you, just say a Moorish American did something, one of our nationals did, they did break the law. Just say they did break the law, for real. They broke the law. We issue our own bond, you got to appear before our court. You have to appear before our court. Oh, real quick, let me show y'all something. See over here? See this right here? See what that says? Now those of y'all that don't watch my seminars, y'all know. Remember I said I tested them, I said, and they gave me a bond slip, and on the bond slip it say, call this number for your court date in 4 to 6 weeks. You see I didn't lie about that. I took that particular bond that they gave me then. This is from that. I took that bond and I'm redoing it for us. But here it is, big as day. Where they call court info, is not notified by mail of court date within 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, they did this because of the way I signed the bond, and I was charged with 2 felonies and a misdemeanor. They don't tell you to call them when you have a felony. They tell you when to be there. Anybody that hasn't been to jail that really been to jail before, they know this. When you got felonies, they tell you when to be there, you better be there. They didn't do that with me because I never bowed to their jurisdiction. And I knew about the contract, so I never let them fingerprint me. I never did any of that stuff. So I just wanted to show y'all this. This is how my mind works. And I'm pretty sure we have to remember that the county is their job is to service all the municipalities and in all the surrounding governmental entities in the area. So we able to use the county share for our purpose and benefit as well. Islam, I give slow. I just wanted to show y'all that.
Islam.
You got slow.
Yes. I just need clarification. What happened to Brother Chris? So when he did get to the point of he agreed to do a signature or in the fingerprint, for that signature he still didn't sign. No, he signed without recourse. And then for the fingerprint, what did he do? I don't know.
Same thing. He signed it without recourse.
Okay.
He signed it without recourse. But like I say, you see the new letter that'll be coming from USAR to them from now on. Anytime if they lock one of our nationals up, they ain't gonna want no fingerprint. I guarantee you, they are not going to want any fingerprint because once we send that fax, they can play like they ain't get it if they want to. It don't matter. We got evidence that they got it, and that national come out of there and say they fingerprinted me. They owe us $1 million. And we will be sending a follow-up. So if the 10 days go by, we'll send them a second notice and letting them know, 10 days went by, you still haven't paid your bill. This is a notice, second notice reminding you that you owe this money, this. Then if they don't pay it then we send the third and final, we send the third notice and let them know this is the third and final notice. And after this, and after the next 5 days, if it isn't paid, then we'll be moving for judgment. Islam?
Okay, so when he signed without recourse, and he said what the steps right after that, they accepted that as a signature, and then because he said something like with the bond, he had 2 bonds, one over 1,000, and then something with 3,000. Did he?
Right.
Did he sign without recourse for the bonds as well?
Yes. He signed everything without recourse. Without recourse, reserve your rights. You had a right to reserve your right. They can't force you to sign no name.
Okay.
Without recourse, it's called a signifier.
Okay.
Just like some people might sign all rights reserved. Some people might sign, without prejudice. Those are called signifiers. They protect your rights. They can't force you to sign anything. So if you sign something, your signature, put it this way, your signature is your private property. If you sign the document and give it to me, I can sign your name on other documents because you gave me your signature. You gave it to me without no stipulations that I can't sign it on nothing else. So once you took your private property, gave it to me, I can sign your name on anything I want to sign it on. You gave it to me.
Right.
It depends on how well you know law. See, a lot of people don't know law that well. So they say, he forged my sin. But a smart person, if they really know law, you wouldn't have no case.
So after he did all that, they released him? Just like that?
Yes, ma'am. Just like that.
Powerful.
Point of interest.
You hear the flow, sister?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Brother Rich, you got stuff.
I've seen some people put BY, colon, and then their name.
That's a signifier too. That means it's not you. Okay. That's a signifier too.
Okay.
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry. Point of interest. I didn't hear that. What did you say?
BY with the colon.
TY, T as in Tom, Y as in yo.
B as in boy, Y as in you.
Okay. And then a hyphen or a colon?
No, a colon.
Y is in yellow.
Okay, so you put BY colon and that's it.
That's it. That's another signifier. That's another way to sign something.
Okay.
A lot of times when you see the president of the United States sign certain things, he'll sign it that way. Bye. A lot of the people in the government, they sign things that way. Bye.
Thank you.
Quick point.
You got the flow.
You saw the trust, right?
Of course.
So in that trust, is there a schedule fee?
Are they what?
Is there a schedule fee? Because all of us are coming in. This is Brother Green again, once again from Alaska, but we're coming in because we're coming in to the USAR Trust, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. We're coming into the USAR Trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
As nationals.
Mm-hmm.
So there should be. I mean, I read up on trust. So there should be the schedule fee. I'm thinking, because then that means people, beneficiaries to this trust here, there's this schedule fee here. I heard.
Okay, can you break down what a schedule fee is?
For instance, like, because I talked about trust, so if I was doing me, and I started my estate, because you got to have a estate, when you start trust, you got to have an estate and all that. From my understanding, I could be wrong. But in that estate, which is like a bank account where you operate out your EIN, whatever, but in there, there's like if I was doing it for myself, in my name, Bobby Green, whatever, there'll be a schedule fee. So if you pull me over, in this schedule fee, I'm charging $1,500 a minute. If you put cuffs on me, that's $1 million. If I'm in jail, each night I'm in jail, I'm charging the corporation $1 million. So in that schedule fee, if that's out there, put out there to law enforcement, everybody, Brother Chris, he wouldn't even went through that, because I would have been out there like, oh, whoa. They calling in, be like, yeah, dismissed, because what he went through, he can shut down the county. When all this is said and done, he's going to be able to shut down the county through the damages.
Okay, and so now I'm going to tell you.
Okay, I yield. Also, that was like a question. Kind of like, I yield.
Yeah, listen to me close. You ready? Listen to me. Watch this. I don't know nothing about that. So what you need to do, you need to get active in your government, and you need to start talking to other people in the government so we can get that schedule fee together. See how that works? See, when I don't know something, I just tell you I don't know. I ain't trying to prove what I know. I don't know. So you teach me now. You be the teacher. This your chance to be the teacher. You be the teacher. But you be the teacher tomorrow. This call is going to be over with. I'll
tell you right now, Going Script is called Business Trust Manual. Business Trust Manual on Script. Or Business Trust Manual free PDF. How you?
It's wrong.
Point of interest.
Okay. Y'all only giving 1 point of interest of fees now, because it's 10:30. Go ahead. You got to throw.
Okay. I know a little bit about what he's talking about with the fee schedule. I know another Moore that did that downtown Cleveland court, and he had put down that he wanted them to pay him like so many thousand for showing up, and then it was it was like 1,500 every 10 minutes or something like that. And when he got there, the judge told him nobody showed up.
Okay, I'm saying, that's the beautiful thing about having a state government. It allows us to have two minds or two meeting minds, all operating for the same cause and same purpose. Everybody knows something that somebody else don't know. So if it takes one person a month to read a book, and if we got 30 people that can read a book in a month, we done read 30 books in 1 month. How can anybody defeat us when we're working in it as a unit like that? The idea is that if you read a book on civil rights, I shouldn't have to come behind and read the same book that you done read. You're supposed to take all the jewels out of that book, have your notes together pertaining to us being a nation. So everything in that book that you read pertaining to us being a nation, you didn't put it in your notes, and now you present the other 2 million with the notes to bring us up to what we need to understand about those civil rights. You see what I'm saying? So the next person might be bringing in international law. The next person might be bringing in trust law. The next person might be bringing in commercial. So we able to perpetuate ourselves much faster because it's a group effort. All us gathering information from everywhere, studying and learning many different things, and bringing it all to the table for one cause and one goal. So all our efforts are always got to be for the same cause and same goal. And that's the protection of our children the perpetuation of us as a nation, and our secure rights under our state constitution. Islam?
Islam.
All right, y'all. We out of here.
Islam. It's been fun.
Islam, everyone.
Islam.
Peace and love.
Oh, baby.
Peace and love.